Who's having a wank?
I'm shaking my
I don't need to know what you're shaking.
That sounds highly suspicious.
Daniel, I sent you a video of my spray glue comb yesterday.
And on that note, welcome to the podcast! Yay!
Never mind. Okay, fine.
I was
Just
putting
roll
up sound
with that.
dampening
I'll be able
foam.
to pivot them into video games in a minute.
No, I need to give context. I was putting up sound dampening foam and I was using a special glue. That's the context. It looked like stringy comb. That was
What, you were literally, hang on, you were gluing. You're gluing sound dampening panels directly to your wall.
Yes, using a glue designed specifically to do that. Yes.
Okay, I was like, just imagine they were little supers. Like, you're gonna regret that in a couple of years' time.
Oh no, it's designed specifically to do that with, and it's way quicker. And fuck it.
How is that designed to do that? Like, is there? Does it? Wait, what?
I'm not a chemist. I don't know. I don't know what the chemical properties of the glue are.
I don't care about the chemistry. Obviously, I don't know that either. But I'm just curious as to like what makes a glue suitable to glue something on that you might want to take off without destroying the wall. Because it's got to still be pretty sticky, otherwise the thing's going to fall off. So how do you make it unsticky?
It's a glue that's I
don't think it'll go unsticky. I think it's just because that most glues would melt through sound dampening foam. So it's like one that just doesn't actually melt.
It's an unreactive glue that doesn't react to the dampening foam. And it's sticky, but like even when it's set now, if I pull it off the wall, it will just come off.
I feel like you're going to sneeze on your wall and all the sound dampening foam's just going to go flying at some point.
They're on there really well. It's foam, so it's really light.
I might be able to do that. I got some loud sneezes. They scare the shit out of me.
When I do finally take these off the wall, it will probably... I probably can't reuse a lot of the foam again, and I'll have to repaint the wall. That is a thing I've accepted. But
Matt, talk about how cool my sneezes are.
Oh, Daniel sneezed, but I was really surprised because the whole sneeze was blood.
It was
what?
Blood sneeze.
Jesus Christ.
No, it wasn't a sneeze.
Every time I speak to one of you or both of you, you're fucking falling apart in some new way. It's a miracle we're all three of us are still alive.
On that note, I spent this morning at the heart doctor because my heart's gone a bit berserk.
You didn't go to a heart doctor, Daniel.
I went to a heart doctor. He's a heart doctor.
You went to a GP.
His name's Dr. Hart.
Can I just look, right?
That's true.
Whenever Daniel says anything, right, you've got to believe him. Right? Because he's telling the truth. He is also exaggerating simultaneously. So everything.
It's almost as if it's a comedy podcast and I'm trying to, keep the tone light while going on.
It's not a comedy podcast. It's a video game podcast. I've got so many tabs of video games that have come out because it's the end of January now.
The fuck's a video game?
There's so many video games.
Well, I've got video games on my desk.
What? You got video games in, like, the real world?
Yeah, I've got Cuddly Forest Friends, the physical edition.
Wow, Cuddly Forest Friends, that is a game that we can talk about right now. Imagine if Animal Crossing had somehow less gameplay, but was also more addictive.
So what do you do in that case?
It's Japanese.
You make...
It's the answer.
Yeah. You make friends with some cuddly friends that live in the forest. You become friends with them. They're your friends.
Do you just do this by talking to them on a regular basis, or is there some form of thing they need you to do?
You play mini games with them, and you feed them, and you send them for digging in the mines and whistle at them to make them go faster.
This is getting darker very fast.
Daniel, is it as good as Poo Poo Molka?
Nothing's as good as Molka. I mean, Molka's my shit right now.
So these individuals, your friends, they're trapped in a location with you, and you provide them with food, and in return they have to work in your mines.
John, they're squirrels and like fucking
capybaras.
Rabbits.
You can put hats on them.
Like they're just. I mean,
and also you dress them up in uniforms that you select.
Look, John.
No, you understand this is slavery. It's still slavery if it's squirrels.
They pick what they want to wear.
They want to be slaves.
That makes it okay.
I'm not comfortable with this video game.
Morty, do you want me to make it worse, Morty? We can talk about Justin Roiland, Morty.
No, we can't. Please don't. Oh, God.
Hey, hands up who's got a £900 Justin Roiland original artwork on their wall? Oh, is that just me?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, not really sure
Anybody
why.
want to buy it? It was a.
Not really sure why you ever had that in the first place.
It was a charity thing. You donate money to charity, and then you do a little silly drawing.
The amount of money you've spent on people I would consider questionable for charity.
Name one other person.
Sean Spicer.
Name 2 other people.
Probably someone else horrible.
Name one other person who wasn't a charity donation like Sean Spicer and Justin Roiland.
There's got to be someone dodgy related to Doctor Who giving you got a fuck off massive Dalek.
Oh fuck yeah! No, I got a cameo from John Barrowman, and I've met John Barrowman.
Ah, there we go. Yep, John Barrowman. There we go.
Yeah, and then Mickey Smith.
And that wasn't for charity.
That wasn't for charity. That was a Christmas present for my.
Wait. Have you got any cameos from any of the wrestlers that turned out to be anti-vaxxers?
No.
Did you get a Sasha Banks one?
No.
She's like, I am the anti-vaxxer. What? I don't know what her catchphrase is.
Yeah, it's I am the anti-vaxxer. That's what she comes out and she's like, she's got anti and vaxxer written on like rings.
I mean, most honest WWE's been in years.
Something very exciting this last week, however.
Matt. She's not with WWE. She's with New Japan Pro Wrestling now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, my recording stopped and started there, so I'm just going to say, like, blam in 3, 2, 1, blam, when you're going to go 3, 2, 1, blam,
okay,
right?
go for it.
Wait, how...
3, 2, 1, blam!
How's that going to help you sync the... What?
We'll do it later. It's fine.
Behold, but ignore the man behind the curtain.
It's fine. I've had audio problems today.
I'm just impressed that this week Bethesda managed to just unveil a new game that wasn't in any way leaked. Just they just announced it and it was out and it didn't leak. That's the first time a video game's not leaked in years.
The
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, that leaked.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, never mind then. I didn't hear anything about it, and I saw various people saying it's remarkable it didn't leak.
Nah, it leaked out a little bit before. Like a few days before.
If any of you ever want a PodCats drinking game, right, who's listening, you have to drink every time John, like me and Daniel are talking about something that John desperately doesn't want to, and then John is like, video game news.
That's my role in this thing. I just try to drag it back to video games on occasion.
Yeah, I know, but I enjoy it because there's a certain level of, right, I feel like me and Daniel are past the point of giving any sort of fuck whatsoever, but John has not reached there yet. So occasionally... We'll just be saying.
I'm just really sad about this game because some people have been saying like it's absolutely incredible, but also it's a rhythm game, and my sense of rhythm is just like. So
what was the game?
Hi-Fi Rush, and I know that if I play it, I'm literally not going to be able to get past the tutorial. The game would be like, okay, now here's the baby introduction. You've just got to press the buttons in time with this beat that's on the screen. I'll be like, I can't do that. Fuck it, I cannot do this. Like, what was Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necro Dance, that stuff. You ever played that?
Yeah, I can't do it. Can't play it.
I literally couldn't do it. I loaded, like, the first screen, couldn't get past the first screen. The game was just like, no, the first screen's killed you. It's like, but I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do. I don't understand.
I believe you, John, but Daniel, I've seen you play rhythm games before.
I'm fucking great at
good at
Elite
keeping
Agents and Osu. I've fucking 100%ed Osu 1 and 2 on the DS. Elite Beat Agents, I've 100%ed. I've 100%ed loads of rhythm games. All the Guitar Hero games on DS. I had the DS was my rhythm game thing. All of it, like just so many. I had Guitar Hero on the PSP. Like I just so many rhythm games, and I just 100% them all. Like bam, 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 bam. But when it comes to having to do something else with that, like instead of hyper focusing on I have to keep the rhythm, suddenly I have to keep the rhythm. Watch out for enemies. My brain's like can't do that. Rhythm, and I'm like stop. Sorry, I can't do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Adding that extra thing makes it so much harder. It's like I can keep time as long as that's all you want me to do. That's it. I've got one really fast processor in my head. I don't have any more than that.
You have a one-core brain.
Game.
Yeah, a one-core brain. That's what I've said many times. That's what ADHD is. It's a one-core brain.
There's a because I was really good at, and still am really good at Guitar Hero games, and I remember getting really annoyed because I got Beat Saber when it came out.
Beat Saber's another one. I'm like,
no, but this is the thing. I'm good at every rhythm game I've ever played. Beat Saber, I am like a fish. I am just like a fish on the ground flopping about. I don't know how I am so bad at that game, considering I'm good at every other rhythm game. But that one game specifically, I am just atrocious. To the point that I refunded it.
Beat Saber's cheaty because what you do is there's not a huge music library. It's like, I'll just download this huge amount of user-created tracks, so I've got lots more songs. But the only people who have got the patience to create the user-created tracks are the absolute Beat Saber nerds who have put so many thousands of hours in. They've just created this track. Thought, yes, this is quite reasonable, and it's just a never-ending stream of 10 million boxes coming at you at the speed of sound, where no human could possibly ever get to them, because the only person who would ever create that track thinks that's normal.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what I like.
So basically, all the tracks in the base game are incredibly easy, and every single user-downloaded track is like 3 difficulty levels ahead. So there's a huge gulf.
The DLC fills that gulf. Because there's stuff like Green Day, Lady Gaga, fuck me. I can
Some of the Lady Gagas are vicious, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to rephrase that. I'm good at rhythm game. As long as that's all I have to do. That is as soon as it's like, oh, you have to time this to the music, but also like fucking stab a guy, I'm like, what?
Did you like, there's that VR game where it was, you shot people as a rhythm game?
Oh, yes. It was a name that didn't seem to fit anything. I remember it now. It was all
I know, that's why I can never remember the name of it.
It was just called something like Guns or Reloading or something. I can't remember.
But that, you're shooting people with the rhythm, but the shooting is how you're keeping the rhythm. It's not an extra thing you're doing.
That's kind of a bit more of a middle ground, because it's on rails, so you don't have to like position yourself and think and stuff like that. So that I was actually quite good at. Because the rhythm was one thing. It was shoot the guy, shoot the guy, shoot the guy, shoot, you know. I wasn't super good at it, but it was better than something like Crypt of the Necro Dancer, which I just could not fucking do.
No, literally could not figure it out.
Many hours
Pistol Whip.
Could do it.
It's called Pistol Whip.
Pistol
which
Whip.
Is a
there you go. I
fucking
told you it was just
name.
like a gun word.
Awful fucking name. Oh.
What's a better name
Terrible
for a
name.
rhythm-based shooting thing? Glock Speed. There you go. I've given you.
No, that's worse.
No, that's
Glock
worse.
is just a really ugly
so much
word.
worse.
Like
it.
GL and CK are both ugly sounds.
Yeah, but I like that. I used to grow up with OpenGL. It's a beautiful sound to me.
Okay, guns have slides, right? That's a thing in guns. We've got to be able to do something with the word slides.
Slide.
Yeah. Like, because there's slides. Isn't there like a slide? Like, you could do a slide on like some form of stringed instruments.
Yeah, the cha-cha pistol slide. There you go.
But you say a gun has a slide. What do you mean a gun has a slide?
Isn't a slide a bit of a gun? Isn't that like one of the things the gun
Sounds
has?
about gun, right? Doesn't it?
Is it called a slide?
Slide.
You can't.
Yeah. Is it like a pistol where you can? Well, like you in the film where the guy goes, he gets the pistol. He goes. That's the slide, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's called a slide.
Slides.
Yeah. Look at
find out which bit the slide is. Yeah, the pistol slide. The slide on the majority of fully on semi-automatic pistols is the upper part that reciprocate slide with recoil during the gun's operating cycle. The bit that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you. It's called the slides.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it should be though.
Oh, I've got it. The title.
Yeah.
Stock music.
Not bad. You know what? It's pretty good.
I mean, you know what? That works, but it's got bad SEO.
Audio receiver.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, that works.
That's a good one.
I think that works.
That's it. That's all I got for now.
That's got better SEO. Or music receiver. I don't know, something beat receiver.
Some sort of Beat Saber would be... if only it was... yeah. Anyway.
I mean, I desperately... Because I've been... For years... Ever since Guitar Hero died a sad death, much like Rock Band, I've been wanting a new game because I still have an Xbox 360 specifically just for Guitar Hero.
Aw, nerd.
But then, if anyone who's played Guitar Hero knows, those controllers break. They break. And I originally had a controller for every single Guitar Hero game, and now I have none. They're all gone. They all broke. Every single one. And you can't get them new anymore. And the idea of playing a second-hand Guitar Hero controller sounds disgusting, frankly.
It will be sweaty.
Absolutely disgusting. And I remember a couple of years ago, I started a project to try and make my own, and I just was going, oh god, it's the biggest faff in the world, and everyone's like, play Rock Band, and the Rock Band controllers feel like you touch them and they fucking bend. You know, like, you blow near them and they fold in half because they're made of fucking, like, tissue paper Rock Band controllers for some reason. And you strum on them and it feels like you're just pressing into a sponge.
Oh, safety off dance.
What?
Like safety dance. Safety
What's
dance.
a safety dance?
It's the song Safety Dance. Wow, you're all so uncultured.
I think I know the song.
Yes, of course you do.
About.
Everybody
It's
does. If you hear it for 2 seconds, you'll be like, oh, that one. I know that one.
It's a bad name. It's not.
Yeah,
really.
the problem is stock music works really well as a pun, but it doesn't sound cool because stock music inherently isn't cool.
Also, bad SEO. Yeah, I'm a fan of the receiver one. I'm a fan of the music receiver or the audio receiver. I'm a fan of that.
How about gun
Also,
music?
I'm going to be honest. I've just been looking up, like, bits like, diagrams of guns to try to come up with more puns. I will admit, I'm really amazed at where the chamber is in a pistol. Like, I had no idea it was that far forward. Like, I just kind of assumed because you put the guns in, like, the sticky outy bit at the bottom.
Yeah,
that,
that's
like,
where you put the guns in.
Yeah, but, like, that's where the bullet's going. Fuck off.
Oh my god, wait, John, do you confuse guns and bullets like I confuse both and arrows?
Probably, yes. And, like, I just assumed that because you put the bullets in, like, that bit at the bottom, like, they just went up. Like, there was just, like, a spring in there that was just pushing them up. So, like, when you fire a bullet, next one just goes up and it's just at the back of the gun. But apparently the chamber's, like, way further forward, like, above the trigger, which I guess makes sense.
That's why you slide the whole thing back so much, because then it pulls the whole thing
I just never really considered that for. I just assumed the bullets just went straight up and they were just sitting at the top of the back of the gun, waiting to be zoomed out by, like, gunpowder or something. I don't know.
We should be taught guns
terrible.
in schools. Wait, hang on, that's a terrible idea. Let's not be that. That's good. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the PodCats. We'll start here. Let's just start. None of that conversation was necessary. John wants to talk about Hitman.
So far forward. Yeah, Hitman. There's so much new Hitman. There's so much Hitman now. Dan, you might like Hitman now.
I'd like Hitman.
Because after Hitman 1 was episodic, then Hitman 2 was episodic, then Hitman 3 wasn't episodic, they've now just cocking merged them into one single game.
That is what I've been saying it should be the whole time. And since 3 came out, I played 1, 2, 3 in a permadeath series that totally all the episodes came out. But I did, 1, 2, 3, and I was like, yeah, that feels like one Hitman game.
Though admittedly, they have called it Hitman World of Assassination, which was always the term for the universe, which is strange because it implies that you didn't travel around the world assassinating people in all the other Hitman games, which you most definitely did.
I thought they already were in one game. I thought if you bought Hitman 3, it was just you could have all the levels in that one game.
Yes, but now if you buy Hitman 3, you get all of them. There's no Hitman 1 and 2 anymore. There's only Hitman 3, and it's all in Hitman 3.
And it's called Hitman World of Assassination. It's all just been wrapped together.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's a bit cleaner.
It's now just called Hitman World of Assassination. It annoys me because you go around the world assassinating in every Hitman game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
like Blood Money was called Blood Money because there was specifically a mechanic where you earned money to improve yourself. Like that was one of the core bits of the game. You spilled people's blood to get money to get better at spilling blood. All right, title very representative. Now, admittedly, Hitman contracts, there was nothing specific about those contracts. It was the same as anything else. But Hitman 2 Silent Assassin was introducing the Silent Assassin mechanics properly and was much more about doing things stealthily, as opposed to the original Hitman, where you just wander around with a fucking minigun, because that was a franchise that did not find its feet in its first entry. Seriously, the ending of Hitman 1, you just wander around with a fucking minigun. It's the weirdest fucking shit.
Are you saying, John, that it was just called Hitman before? Yes. I think World of Assassination is just it doesn't have to mean anything.
It's a step up, but like, say, Hitman Absolution, as not good as it is about 47 being sorry about that time he shot Diana.
No, it's called that because it was absolutely shit.
What's some worse because there's a lot of bad subtitles out.
Oh, I've got it.
Sometimes I think you're asking the wrong question there, because it's not just we don't need to worry about bad subtitles. We have to worry about games that have completely meaningless titles, full stop. And I love it when I find one of these. And I think Horizon Zero Dawn is an excellent example of a title that doesn't fucking mean anything.
It does.
Unless you play the game for 30 hours, at which point you find a character that says, by the way, the Horizon Protocol, we're going to activate the Dawn on day 0. I see what the game was. Wait, you just made that fucking up. Okay, that still doesn't mean anything.
And then fucking Forbidden West is like the West Forbidden. It's like you could have.
You know what? Forbidden West is better because at least you know that you're going to go to a land in the West and you ain't supposed to.
Yeah.
So that's
God,
better.
honest to God, Daniel, you doing that fucking video on it where you just desperately tried to go to the west of the map and there just kept being invisible walls could not have been more perfect.
The West was just so fucking forbidden.
You. Yeah, it's just like, no!
So forbidden.
You know, I'm not ready yet. You're not supposed to be here yet.
I just really enjoy it when you come across a game that's just got 3 words in its title and they're all sort of badass words, but you have no idea what the game is. I just love it when you stumble across these games. They truly make my day.
I always
the
other way's better. Is when they're so precise, you know the game's going to be dull. And my example I will always go to is Medal of Honor Warfighter. The fuck is It's warfight. You're fighting in a war. All right, yeah. Mm-hmm. As opposed to what else would you call someone who fights in a
fucking
war?
Glass Onion's got a really bad subtitle, which I resent.
Glass Onion. Oh, that's the Knives Out sequel, isn't it?
Yeah, and the subtitle is A Knives Out Mystery.
Well, that's because...
It's like, well, it's a sequel!
That's because they didn't... No one knew that was going to be the sequel to Knives Out.
Yeah, I know, but it's so awkwardly ham-fisted.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible. It's a terrible subtitle. I'm looking through all the films I've watched.
All the films you've ever watched. That's a lot of films.
That's quite a lot of films.
That's a lot of films.
Yeah, it is, actually. I'm just scrolling through them and... I mean, Multiverse of Madness is a bad name because they go to 1, and the only difference is the lights are a different fucking colour.
I believe that's a good title, because the multiverse is madness.
No, it's not, because you don't see that it's madness, aside from one small bit
I'll tell you
that was
what's
in
a
the trailer.
bad title, Spider-Man No Way Home, because they all go home.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
They're just committed to the home has to be included bit at this point, and sometimes it gets them a little bit tied in knots. Perhaps.
Spider-Man homework, and he's just doing homework for 2 hours. It will make $2 billion. Hey, Avatar's made $2 billion at the box office.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, is the way I feel about Avatar like how people who aren't into the MCU feel about the MCU, because I cannot understand how this has become the 5th most successful film of all time and made $2 billion. I don't understand.
There's something that I think represents Avatar's cultural impact perfectly, because everyone's like, oh, Avatar doesn't have any cultural impact. That's a constant thing. I went to the Lego store a couple of weeks ago, right? Actually, I went and saw Avatar, which, God, it's fucking dull.
Well, the new
and you're watching it, yeah, and you're aware that every single frame of that film costs about £10,000. Mm-hmm. And you're watching 2 characters have this really just normal conversation that you could have just done this like...
Is it true they just cast Sigourney Weaver as a small child?
Yeah, as her daughter, as herself, but she's playing in that. It doesn't matter. Point is, it's a big, boring, stinky, boring film that's right up its own arse. But afterwards, I went into the Lego store in Liverpool. And there's Avatar Lego. There's a big push for Avatar Lego. We've got the Avatar license. We're doing Avatar Lego for the first 2 films. And this is not long after release, right? It was a couple of weeks after the film came out. And they put the Avatar Lego right at the back, past the key rings, behind the till, right at the back right where you couldn't see it.
They were a bit embarrassed by it.
Really, it went as far out the way as possible, which only means 2 things. Either they're embarrassed by it, or B, no one fucking wanted it, and it was in the way.
Everyone wants it, and that way they can show off all the other wonderful Lego before you get to the thing that is selling like hotcakes.
I know, but no, there is a place they do for them. It's before the till. Anything behind the till...
It's dead. No, it's absolutely dead. That's where Pirates of the Caribbean live.
It's next to the key rings.
That's where the Johnny Depp film, with Toda... What's it? The last thing. The horse boy time.
Oh, the Lone Ranger.
That's the one.
Yeah, they were about... That's where they were. And to me, nothing else represents Avatar better than the positioning of the Lego in the Lego store.
Well, 2 billion people worth of people will go in to watch it, and I am confused because I feel like I'm the mark for this. All right, if it's like, oh, this is kind of quite impressive technically, and it's a big dumb popcorn muncher. You know what? I should be the mark for this. I should be the person who's like, you know what? No. I'll go and see that. Why not? And I have no interest in doing it. I don't know where this $2 billion has come from. Is this money laundering?
It's not a big dumb popcorn film. No. That's the part of its problem. Because I keep having conversations with people about it, and I'll try and talk about it from a visually technical perspective, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's a visual spectacle." I'm like, no, it's not a visual spectacle. It's just technically very good, competently, but it's not It's not. It doesn't do anything that impressive with the visuals. It's like a small boat. It's a small boat.
It is true that I looked at the. I think when it originally came out, I think it was very visually impressive. But now I look at like the screenshots. Now I think, oh, that's actually video games feel like they've come a lot further than you have, Mr. Cameron.
No, the first film was the first big. It's IMAX 3D. Look at the 3D. Wow, it's all 3D, full CGI. That was a big deal at the time. This new one, like, I've watched fucking tons of films that are almost all CGI that look amazing.
I look at the characters' faces and just think, you know what? This doesn't look as good as, say, like Injustice 2 did amazing face work. Like, you know, Last of Us Part 2 did amazing face capture work. It's like, this actually looks worse than some video games, the faces.
It does. But they're doing all of this, like, you're watching it and you're like, oh, wow, that water physics is very impressive. And the way they've blended the real character with the CG characters is impeccable. You know, it's very technically impressive.
I also like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, yeah.
It's technically impressive, but it's not visually impressive. Like, everything it does, it's
doing
paused it and looked at it and went,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not actually making anything very interesting. Like, everything, you're watching a frame and you're looking at all the money that's been spent, and what it's been spent on is what could have just been done with a guy in a blue suit.
So, okay, why do you think it has made $2 billion then?
Advertising!
Because advertising, and the first film was the most successful film ever because it was the big thing, and this second film is just entirely under that. I'm curious how the third film is going to do, because this second film is always going to do well, but the third film, that's the one that can do shit.
Because Cameron's made it clear he's kind of making his own shitty Avatar Last Airbender thing going on. Because in the next one, the fire people are coming and they're going to have red skin and they're going to be the bad guys.
It's a fucking 3-hour film, this new one, right? And the amount of things, plot elements that it opens and then doesn't close because it's like, oh, it's for the sequel. It's like, bitch, it's a 3-hour film. Resolve the thing you've set up.
Well, the firebenders are coming in the third one. Then we'll have to get, the earthbenders and shit coming.
Do you know what the villain of this new film is?
What?
The villain of this current Avatar
film. Is it
film.
the humans again?
No, it's not the humans again. You know the guy, the big villain from the first film, like the major dude.
Yeah, that's the guy. Let's show him what happens to cockroaches when a boot steps on cockroaches. I'm American military.
He's back and he's an avatar now. He's a clone of himself who's an avatar.
Wow. Somehow that Colonel guy returned.
Yeah, it's like, so it's the same guy. And the plot, unlike the first one where it's like, oh, it's rip off Pocahontas. It's like, oh, I'm learning to sort of respect people.
And trees. Don't forget trees.
All the cultures. This film This film is entirely the Colonel guy being like, I don't like Jake. And Jake being like, no.
Peralta?
It's 3 hours. Yeah, sure, Jake Peralta.
Wait, Walter, telling his sex tape.
And it's just that. And it's like, oh, I've got kids now. And in a 3-hour film, it goes from the end of the first film to I have 4 kids and here's all the backstory about them in 5 minutes. It spends 5 minutes just rushing through that. And then I'm watching a scene later, it's 20 minutes, and it's just this guy talking to himself for 20 minutes. And I'm like, why am I watching a 20-minute fucking monologue about nothing? What is this, Phil?
Crucially, Matt, is there a post-credit scene that blatantly teases the third film?
No! What? After 3 hours, I left. I didn't wait because the credits would have taken 70 years based on the fucking. I wasn't going to sit around any longer.
No one would have come out by the time you got through the credits.
God, I just fucking Jesus.
And now we had to the nerds sitting in front of their computer section. It's still going.
Honest to God, I just.
Now you don't know who the best boy was.
No, actually, I watched a film the other day called Tar, which stars Cate Blanchett, and it does. It has the full credits at the start.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean like a post-credits like thing. All films, the full credits.
As in, like like James Bond style, where there's cool visuals flashing around while names come up.
No. Like the actual end credits, like a 5-minute long end credit sequence is at the start, and it doesn't include the actors. It only includes all the crew.
Does it run backwards as like a weird inversion thing where it goes from top to bottom?
That's how films used to be. That's what happened. The film that changed that, I believe, was Star Wars, and I think George Lucas was sued for it because people were like, "Why the fuck are our names at the end?" Because his whole thing was faster and more intense. Everything's got to be faster and more intense, and that's why Star Wars is popular.
But I'm a fan, but it's not like it's literally like they've taken the credits from the end and just moved them to the front. And it's structured like the end credits. As I say, it doesn't have the actors in it all. They're at the end still. And it was like 5 minutes, and it's a bit odd. And I was looking around the theater, and some people were like getting antsy because it just kept going. But it was nice because I do know who the best boy is.
Yay!
I don't remember what the name was because
oh my god,
there's like 70 billion names on screen.
I just got a pop-up saying that Watch Dogs Legion has just appeared on Steam. Can I play Watch Dogs Legion on my Steam Deck? Oh my god, it's only £10. It's 80% off.
Yeah, Ubisoft though, innit?
Yeah, but I love that game. I want to play it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree with you entirely. I am fully... I know. I got that email yesterday as well, and I'm like, oh.
There's so many video games coming out right now, Dan. And some of them are good. Some of them aren't.
Yeah, but Watch Dogs Legion
like Forspoken. But some of them are good.
I've got
Forspoken.
Well, did I use Forspoken as an example of games that I don't know what the fuck they are in the awards?
Forspoken Forspoken is weird because obviously there was that huge thing on Twitter where there was a huge amount of look at the script is so cringe. It's like, and the script was sort of fine. It's like, okay, there are so many things you can criticize about Forspoken that are worse than the script in that game. Seriously, there are so many legitimate criticisms to be had about that game. You don't need to focus on the script. I'm mildly suspicious of how focused you are on the script, in fact. But yes, it's entirely lots of stuff is wrong there. It's like a really incompetent Elden Ring, unfortunately.
Oh, nobody wants that.
It's Elden Ring made by Ubisoft.
Oh, nobody wants that.
There's so many weird things, like there's the straight up there's these.
Is it a Ubisoft game?
Huh?
Yeah.
Square Enix.
No, Square Enix.
Square Enix.
Sorry.
Oh.
But it feels.
Honestly, I think
like
that's just as bad.
a Ubisoft-made Elden Ring.
I'm surprised Square even released it. I'm surprised they just didn't sell it off.
The wild thing they did is they also, this was like one of their big forays into, let's sell games for more. Like, this is their game which has got up to, I think it's £65.
Oh, they're selling it for PS5 prices.
Oofa.
£65 is your basic. That's your basic entry into the base game. Then you're up to, for the DLC. That's another £25 on top. Thank you very much indeed. I was like, this was not the game for you to push out there and say, hey, let's try over £50 for the base version. Oh no, this was not the game for that. You should have waited for something better.
It makes Legion being fucking £10 even more.
It's just
why is that? Why did Ubisoft have to be cunts?
There's just so many things. There's all sorts of enemies you fight on the ground, but when you lock onto an enemy, because there's a lock-on system, it's got like an Elden Ring thing where, there's a dodge roll and you've got to poise break them so you can get the critical hit, etc., etc., etc. So you spend a lot of time finding a really tough enemy, locking onto them, and then circling around them, diving out the way so you can get a couple of stabs in before they, get up again and start attacking you. Which, so that happens a lot. You're looking onto enemies and circling each other a lot. When you do, the camera insists on being very low. It says, okay, I'm gonna really look at the camera's shoes, alright? Someone with a foot fetish was in control of the camera controls, because they're super into what you're wearing on your feet. And the problem is, whenever you or the boss are moving and doing shit, there's a cloud of dust. So you can't fucking see! You can't fucking see! Because every time anyone does anything, there's dust and particles blocking the camera! It's like, how did no one notice this and move the camera slightly up?
Okay, here's a fun thing, right? I just went on Steam and I looked at the featured and recommended section, right? So you got Hi-Fi Rush, that game that just released on Game Pass, £27. Yeah. But seems like a perfectly good price for a game of that.
It's on Game Pass, right? Just to let you know, people, if you're interested.
It is on Game Pass, but even if you want to buy it, I think that's a reasonable price for that kind of game.
Absolutely, fine.
27 quid. EA Sports FIFA 23 on sale for £24, right? And then you've got fucking J.K. Rowling's Turf Express for £50, which is coming out in 2 weeks, which no one cares about. And the Twitter account for it tweeted, yes, you can pet the cat, and tweeted and added, can you pet the dog? And the guy who owns Can You Pet the Dog vehemently came out against it and said it was the most insulting thing.
Amazing. Just a quick point on that. People do care about it. It is currently the best-selling game on Steam. And it has
never
been
been
for
sure
ages.
I trust that best-selling thing, because the best-selling tab on Steam also claims that Steam's £1,000 VR thing was the best-selling thing on Steam for months. And that
was how much money it makes.
On mine, it's not. It's the second, because the first is the Dead Space remake, which is coming out in 4 hours, actually, from time of recording.
Two things. One is that it's it's amount of revenue gained. So for every game sold versus every headset sold, that's how many headsets they're selling, that they're making that much more money. That's why the Steam Deck appears in there, etc., etc., etc. But it was for a long time, the Hogwarts game, it was like the top tier, most selling game on Steam, because a lot of people want to
that makes
play with
it's
children.
One of those things, I think, that if you're not in the industry, you're not in the sort of... If you're not... Because I think a lot of people are just not going to know anything about... Like, they're not even aware of everything going on with J.K.
If you
Rowling
just don't live on social media, it's probably quite easy to not
you
be
might
aware.
not ever know about it.
Someone who doesn't live on social
obviously...
media, it's in the news a lot.
It is, but I can see people missing it who are like passive fans, like casual, just normies, basically.
Normies.
But there's people who are like massive Harry Potter fans who should know and are just pretending not to.
Well, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I think it's worse than we pretend not to.
That teaches that, takes all sorts to make a world, and you should be brave and smart and cool. But not the trans people! I'm J.K. Rowling, and I said that all the students shit on the floor and magic it away.
No, well, this is a point, right?
It's a book series that fundamentally features a boy going into the women's bathrooms a lot.
Yeah, but also, again, if they shit on the floor and the magic it up, then why do we need gendered bathrooms in the first place? You've already made a gender-neutral bathroom, J.K. Rowling.
Because J.K. Rowling's just a billionaire. And when you become a billionaire, you go mad. That seems
but on the
to
plus
be
side,
a thing.
There's below that is Watch Dogs Legion.
Hooray!
Which again is a great game made by... God, I hate... Why? I'm constantly angry. Every time it comes up, I'm angry about it. Because it's such a good game.
I will say,
it's such a good
it's going to be
game.
an interesting year for Square Enix, because with all of these massive failures that they're being hit with sort of over and over again, and the Mario Rabbids sequel
sold all the good stuff.
Undersold massively. That was Ubisoft. I'm thinking of Ubisoft, not Square Enix. I meant to say Ubisoft. Ubisoft are Skull
Square
and
Enix
Bones.
are doing the same. Square Enix have also sold everything and have nothing left in the tank.
But I think,
apparently we're thinking on banking that they could sell Forspoken for £65.
I think we're going to see Yves fuck off from Ubisoft in the next year or two.
Which I don't think should be particularly applauded, given he should have done several years ago.
He should have gone a long fucking time ago, let's be perfectly honest. But he's hanging on there, just eventually forgetting.
What's happened at Activision now? Because have Microsoft actually
they're stuck in court hell trying to figure out whether it's legal for them to be bought or not.
Meanwhile, Blizzard's just shitting away all their goodwill.
I'm gonna say antitrust. I don't know what antitrust is, but I think it might be that.
Antitrust is an American law related to basically monopoly.
I think it might be one of them.
I mean, the good thing...
I don't think it'll get stopped.
I don't think it is an antitrust issue, because as we've seen from Microsoft's latest thing, Microsoft don't actually make any games anyway. So getting Activision on board, they might actually start fucking making some games. Because what did they reveal in that showcase they had? It was like one new game, and the rest was like, hey, remember Redfall, that game you don't give a fuck about? Oh, it's still on the way.
It's weird, because they have so many good developers, and yet somehow don't really make anything of note.
Obsidian and Bethesda, who are both making a lot of stuff, that's fine.
Oh yeah, Pentiment came out. That was good.
That fucking game.
You're not allowed to not like Pentiment, it's against the law.
Absolute fucking horseshit of a game.
Daniel's not played it, but I've heard a lot.
Rebecca played it, because Rebecca's really... Because I played Case of the Golden Idol. You played that?
Yeah.
Very good game. Excellent little...
Very good detective
Oberdin-esque deduction game with some nice old paint-drawn art. If you want a really solid detective game, The Case of the Golden Idol, literally you're given a scene, and you just explore the scene, read letters, and you've got to work out who did the murder from the scene, and fill in the little logbook, and it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. It's a wonderful, genuinely thinky, proper, clever thinking... Oberdin. Basically, it's an Oberdin them up. If you played and loved the Oberdin, Case of the Golden Idol is great, and it's wonderful, and by the end of it, you're like, I know everything that happened in there, I worked it out, I'm a smart. You play Pentiment, and at the end of the game, it's like, who did it? That guy? I don't know. The end. And then...
I disagree. So the thing with Pentiment is I had that opinion until I got to the very end, because I realised with Pentiment that The biggest problem with Pentiment is they've sold it as a detective game when
it's almost as if it is,
right?
because it's all about being a detective. There's just loads of shit.
No, it's not. It's about being an artist.
It's not.
You're literally not a detective.
This is the thing, right? The final act of the game, the entire structure of the final act is history.
Oh,
right?
God, I'm so bored already.
Well, I don't think it's your kind of game, because it's a game where the whole theme of the game is that you're going around and you're learning stuff about the town and the people living in it. And there's a theme in that first act where you're kind of learning how to best paint the whole game's about perception and reality.
And time. Don't forget time.
And time.
Given there are some genuinely quite sad moments where, like, when you leave one act and come back another, it's like, okay, time's passed, people are dead, like, stuff's changed. And I find it really fascinating at those transition points to wander around the town and see, all right, who's done what, who got married, who divorced, what burnt down, or who's burnt up their business, who fucked up their lives, who did really well in their lives.
Every day is a new badger who set fire to his wife.
The thing I enjoy with Pentiment was just that element of, especially in the final act, where you're basically you're making a mural and you're kind of deconstructing all the history of this town, but Christian history, Roman history, pagan history, all combined together. And I thought it was really interesting. But it's a terrible detective game, but it's not. And they put a bit too much focus on the detective element in it, because it makes it seem like it's a detective game when it's not. And I agree, it's a bad detective game.
Here's my detective game. Buy my detective game. Plays detective game, not a detective game.
I agree. No, I agree. That's its biggest problem. Like, it's got that same sort of, it's not what it says it is on the tin, which I think, again, I went into it and I was really frustrated, because for those who haven't played Pentiment, effectively, the structure, there's 3 acts, and the first 2 acts is a murder, and you're not an investigator, but you're kind of...
It's not so much that you're trying to solve it as you're trying to figure out who to pin it on.
Yeah,
because basically,
that's an important distinction.
Because there is not enough time, because of the way time works, you can't explore everything, so you kind of just have to pick who you think is probably your best candidate of who did it, and then just chase up leads on them, and then decide, based on what you gather, do you want to pin it on them, or do you just want to wash hands the whole thing and say, fuck it?
But there's an important thing there, and that basically there's this whole back end mystery over where someone's like sending notes to all the potential suspects, and there's like, I think, 3 suspects per murder, or 4.
I think it's 4.
And the problem is the game has structured itself in such a way that all of those suspects could have done it, and the game hasn't decided who actually did it. They haven't decided in writing who's done it. They haven't. They've just said, oh, all of them could have done it. It's up to the fans to decide. Which, I don't like that. Now,
it's fine in a video game, because all of the things can be true.
Well, I like it and don't at the same time, because half the point of the game is about how you've got a limited perspective, and how one's perception of something is limited by your perspective, and the game is fixed perspective, right? Like, it never gives you a bird's eye view of anything happening. That's the rule of the game. Fine. But simultaneously, they shouldn't have been putting so much fucking emphasis on the mystery and detective element then of it, where there isn't really an answer.
Yes, it's a narrative a narrative mystery game more than a detective game, sure.
Well, but and that's the thing as well, that the overarching mystery of who is pulling the thread, you don't actually figure who that is out on your own. There's no deduction there. You just kind of walk into that as part of the story, which I don't like it. Those 3 elements of the game, which seems to be its main backbone, like
there's another game that fucking dissolved
marketing wise.
Sorry, Backbone?
I just don't.
Play Backbone? Beautiful looking game, but fuck me, does it just abandon itself halfway through?
I'm gonna Google it. But there's the thing. It doesn't. But then I realized it's much like. Because I really like the talky bits of New Vegas. I like going to a town in New Vegas and just kind of learning everything about what's going on and just leaving. Like, I don't get anything out of it. It's why I didn't get in with Elden Ring, because I like to go to a place and just kind of learn a bunch of stuff, and that's not helpful in any way, and then just leave. And that's Pentiment. Everything in Pentiment is basically just that. Like, I'm just talking to a guy, and he's like, oh, my grandfather did this, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and I leave. Like, it's just nothing else there. But I like that. I really like learning about that, and I enjoy deconstructing all the kind of Christian and Roman history,
that was
pagan
super
history
fun.
that I don't
And
know.
I love how
one.
the RPG aspects are stuff like, hey, have you holidayed in Venice or have you holidayed in Barcelona?
Part of the
What
problem, John definitely has a bias
do you
to
have
this.
access to?
No, John has a bias to this because it's the first fucking game where you can play as a fucking sex-crazed classicist.
It's true. You can play as a sex.
It's the only game John...
You can play as extremely horny classicist, and it just takes me back to my university days.
Does
yes,
that actually
this is the thing. It's the only game John's ever been able to play as himself.
Does that change anything mechanically, or is it just some dialogue changes if you choose that?
Well, yes, it's all zeros and ones being turned into colours on a screen.
The whole
Every video
game is dialogue, is the thing. The whole game is dialogue.
No, but I'm saying, if you are a sex-crazed classicist, does that actually is that a role you can play up?
Yes, because if I come across, say, ancient languages in books, I'm capable of translating them instantly, giving me shortcuts. And if I meet other people who study the same subjects or have the same interests, they're much more likely to like me way more easily because I can engage with them on topics that interest them.
My first playthrough, I had a background in medicine, and I was able to do an autopsy a lot better. And
that was fun,
yeah. Out a lot more. I mean, one of the things I chose that I was from the Netherlands. And I went to have a conversation with this group of scientists.
And they just wouldn't stop laughing at your clogs. Yeah, that is a good scene.
No, but all four. There's four people there, and they're all speaking Italian. And my character couldn't speak Italian, but one of them could speak German. One of them could speak German. One of them could speak Dutch, and one of them could speak English, and the other could speak fucking French. And I could speak all of those languages.
French at the end there, like French is the obscure language that it's weird someone knows.
No, I just couldn't remember. But the point is, they were all speaking 4 different languages. So you end up having this. You have this weird conversation with them where they're just having this long conversation in Italian, then occasionally saying something to you in one of those 4 languages, and then you have to sort of act like you know what's happening.
I really like that because it's a thing you don't get in video games very often. Where actually, sometimes you're going to overhear a conversation where actually you can't understand the conversation, but you might be able to get the odd, word or phrase, and then you try and piece together what was likely to be said. That's a really fun bit of deduction that you could do. That's a form of detecting and deduction.
You know how a game like Life is Strange is always considered like a narrative game?
Yes.
Right? Although
there's nothing else going on. There's maybe a few puzzles, but that's it.
But that's like in the lightest part. Pentiment is a narrative game in the strongest possible sense. And if you are it is a terrible detective game. Do not go into it as if you are interested in a detective game. Don't fucking play it.
It's a narrative RPG.
Okay,
It's a narrative RPG.
This is my problem with these games. This is my problem with these games that I have, right? I like reading. I like books. I like to sit down and read a story. I read it at my own pace. If your game is just a story and nothing really else, it has to be at my pace. If it's at your pace, it's too fucking slow.
This is the problem with it because the entire Spec Ops: The Line. You know how the narrative of that game doesn't really work unless you're actively doing it.
No, that's not true.
No, because a lot of the narrative of that game is you are actively choosing to do the thing you're doing.
Shooting the bad guys.
Okay,
yes.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not saying sure. I mean, there's only one thing it forces you to do, which is to launch the white phosphorus.
No, yeah, but you know what I'm saying in the sense of the narrative of that game and what it's trying to say to you only really works if you're it wouldn't work as a film, for example. You actually have to be playing an active role.
Yes, it's a video game because video game is the right medium for that story.
Yes.
To really have maximum
Pentiment's entire story does not work if you're passive. You have to be playing an active role for it to even make it for that story to work. You have to be playing an active role.
I strongly disagree.
I'm not convinced, to be honest. I feel like you could make a perfectly serviceable 3-part mini, prestige series on Netflix where each one sets a different time period, revisiting the same town and monastery at each one to the same time period.
But the whole point of it is the whole point of it isn't just that it's changing. The whole point of it is that you have a really limited perspective, and the game is about the idea that perspectives are really limited, and everyone's perspective is limited.
You could just have a largely, effectively a first-person TV series where the camera and the script follows one person. You don't get to see anyone else's perspective.
Yeah.
No, because then the choices you make in that game have a huge level of impact in what's happening.
Yes.
And you then have to deal with the choices you've made, and it doesn't affect gameplay in any particular sense. It's just changing
it would be different, but you could definitely have a series where you watch someone make what appears to them to be a logical choice based on the information they have, but then realise down the line that the consequences spiraled out beyond what they were anticipating.
Yeah, but you could do that with Spec Ops. You could do that with Spec Ops. You could do that with Spec Ops: The Lines, right? You could make it into a TV show and be like, oh, they thought they were doing a good thing that they were actually being misled.
Yeah,
like,
but it's enhanced.
You could make that work.
That plot point is enhanced by the fact that you are the player and you are in control, and then it goes.
But as is Pentiment, the choices that you're actively making are are pushing it forward. And if you weren't actively making those choices, it wouldn't have as much impact. I don't think.
It's not.
At least to me.
It's a very different thing because in Spec Ops, it's gameplay. It's playing up gameplay tropes. It's things that you are doing without thinking about it, and it's going, hey, you know those things you're doing without thinking about it? Why the fuck are you doing those things?
No, yeah.
That's why Spec Ops works and why Spec Ops is a great little video game, because it plays up those tropes. It's got all the, the on-rails section. It's got all these weird bits and pieces that are just, and all the bits and pieces you expect. It's set up to be like, hey, and it advertised, hey, we're a war shooter. It was basically a trick. That's what it was. It was like, come and shoot the things and the thing shooter, and you start shooting the things.
Brilliantly structured game.
It's not just you can say that about anything like Cyberpunk. You'd be like, well, Cyberpunk would make a good thing because you can date one of the different women, and only which one you pick is the thing.
All I mean is that it's Pentiment isn't structured like The Life is Strange or something like that, where it's like, oh, your choices matter and they just change the outcome. It's not like a choose your own adventure book where you're.
It feels like the opposite. It's just whatever you talk to most, because I know it's also limited time as well. You can't do everything. It's like you'll pick a tiny path through this, and then you'll pick an answer that will probably just be based on whatever path you read the most of.
But this is my thing. I realized when I finished it that the answer is actually what I don't care about, because it's me going through and dealing with different people and learning about these people's lives that I find that interesting. Yes. I find that active discussion and you choosing how to navigate conversations in a way that I actually, because in Disco Elysium as well. Where I know you hate Disco Elysium, but one of the things Disco Elysium does, which I think always a bit annoying that Fallout didn't do. In Fallout, if you ever get a skill check, that's fucking 3, 4, and 5 New Vegas, right? That's just the 3. When you get a speech check option available to you, there's no reason really to ever not take the speech check option. It will always amount to something good almost all of the time.
Almost all of the time, yeah. Sometimes you can choose which skill option you're going to go for, but that is relatively on the rare side, sure.
But Disco Elysium did the opposite, where you get a load of skills, they'd all have different. They'd all be like, you should do this, and the other one's like, no, you should do this completely opposite thing. And I'd be like, no, that's a terrible idea. You'd be like, and you'd have to choose one, and there wasn't necessarily a right answer. It would just change the outcome substantially. Pentiment does that as well, where you're trying to navigate a conversation in a more natural way.
Yeah, I do enjoy that Pentiment is much more like, while there is this big mystery going in the background, actually, day to day, your character's more concerned with okay, cool, I'm just hanging out with my mates. I'm going to go out for lunch with Tim. Going to go out dinner with Tina, which is nice because I want to find out more about what's going on with her daughter, because clearly something's going on there, and I'm more interested in that. And, when it comes to getting to the actual mystery, in the same way that the character, it's more about their perspective and their very limited perspective. Because you don't have time to explore everything, you just kind of pick one person you think probably did it and then go and investigate them at the expense of everyone. It's effectively a way of mechanically representing that your character is probably acting with some degree of prejudice. They are simply picking who they think probably did it and then finding the evidence to support their existing worldview.
It's notable, in the first playthrough I did, both murders, I chose one of the Catholics notably as the murderer, which shows my bias towards religion, I think. And because all these people are like, fuck the church. I'm like, yeah, fuck the church. And I was kind of, any evidence didn't really matter to me. I was just like, fuck the church. Guy was an asshole to me. Fuck Guy. I don't care if he did it or not. I hate him.
But often it's one of the church guys literally had had buried bloody rags as burying the bloody evidence. I feel like that's pretty strong. That's pretty compelling.
I kind of show it, and then I was like the townsfolk, and this guy was like, oh yeah, he fucking beat my husband to death, and I'm like, yeah, even if you did it, I don't want you to go down for it. So I kind of just chose who I hated the most, not actually who I thought did it.
Yeah.
Which then I got to the end of the game, and they were like, maybe that wasn't the best idea because you kind of caused a bit of a violent revolution. I'm like, yeah. And I don't know. I thought that was it. I liked that narrative. I thought it was the most interesting, like narrative game in that context that I've played purely from an exploration.
I think the game wouldn't work if you could just go around and gather all the evidence and make a fully informed decision based on all the available evidence. I think it wouldn't work at that point because you would just have an optimal, clearly correct option. I actually like the fact that the game sits there and says, look, you got 2 days to gather a handful of evidence and then toss it at the judge who's coming to town in 2 days and basically figure out who you think probably did it and find some evidence that sort of supports it and then fucking see what happens.
I like answers to puzzles. That's what I'm playing for.
No,
I'm not here to be
I agree with
this is what it would really have been like to be fucking Sherlock Holmes in the fucking nothingth century and with no skills, and I just want to go back to shoveling manure and praying to Jesus.
I agree with you, but it's not a puzzle. That's the problem with it. It's not a puzzle, but it says it is. But it's not, and I think that's bullshit because it's not a puzzle. It's okay. You know a good I'm trying to think of a good example of a game where you're just exploring a landscape.
Proteus.
What was that painting game? What was that game about painting that was literally just like exploring a painting game?
Oh, some East something.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, you know a game where you're just kind of going about and you're just kind of exploring a world and there's not really a point. You're just enjoying the exploration of it.
East Shade. Yeah. Well done. Now, that is literally a game where you just go around and you're literally setting up your easel where you think looks nice and you're doing some painting. And occasionally someone will say, hey, I'd love a painting of the waterfall, but I'd like, a bit of life in it. And you just go and find the right angle.
Chatting to people, learning about the village and stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Fucking lovely game, that. East Shade was lovely.
But that's the thing. The structure of that is you're exploring for a specific... You're exploring to get a good painting. You're not kind of exploring for exploring's sake.
That is exploring for exploring's sake. You go, I'm going to go paint this bit. I'm going to have a look.
You're literally exploring to find something that looks nice. That's pretty exploring for exploring's sake.
Fine. Well, Pentiment, in that vein, I am just exploring its narrative for the exploration's sake. I'm not doing it to solve a puzzle. I'm not doing it to get to... I'm just enjoying exploring it. The second I finished that game, I went, I want to play that again as someone that is massively into the church. I want to play that as someone who's like, just really Catholic. I feel like
exploring isn't a thing you can do just for exploring's sake. Knowing there's nothing... Like, it's like going metal detecting in a fucking concrete bunker. Like, just on the floor, just... No,
it's not, there's nothing
it's
there.
It's the beeps that make it's the exploration worth it. It's the highs that counteract the lows.
Well, define highs, because when I play a game like that...
the beeps of a metal detector is the highs of metal detecting. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, but that just kicks off, the high point.
But it's what I mean. I'm just exploring. I'm going around. I'm chatting to someone, and I'm just having a chat to this bar owner and learning about their life and their family and why they're here and the things that they deal with, and learning about extramarital affairs.
Just read a fucking book at that point. I don't have to fucking stress me eyes out.
Plenty of games, even if they're not exclusively exploration, are heavily carried by. Subnautica is heavily carried by the sense of exploration, wanting to see what's next and what's deeper and what's in this area and what's in that area.
Until you see the big fella, and then you're like, I'm good. I've seen enough.
You know what? That half squid, half crab creature, he can have this area. I don't want it.
He's all his.
Subnautica is a great game until the very end, where they clearly rush the narrative a bit.
I never got to the end.
Many Bethesda games are carried by the sense of exploration in a big, beautiful, well-designed world. I think Elden Ring is heavily carried by that in many ways.
Yeah, Bethesda games are everything. Bethesda games are too much. The fact Bethesda games even work is a fucking miracle, because they are truly fantastic pieces of work. Elden Ring is just I must know what's over that corner. What's over this hill.
Well, okay. Well, here's my question. Yes. Why?
Because there will be things over that hill.
Well, what's the thing you're looking for? When you say thing,
more sacred tears. I need more fucking sacred tears, Matt.
But this is
the thing, right? You should play the randomizer mod, John. They're everywhere, or they're nowhere.
The value of the things you're looking for is determined by what you care about, right? Because you're playing the game and you're kind of exploring for exploring's sake because you want to see what's there.
Yeah, there's me running around Pokemon Scarlet and Violet being like, where's the fucking execute? Has anyone seen a bunch of 6 eggs? Well, that's it. Right. Maybe it's over that mountain.
In Elden Ring, the thing you're going to find is either a really good fight or a really interesting boss or a really good piece of gear or just a really pretty environment, right? They're the 4 main
or
things.
a new gameplay mechanic. Some of the dungeons have new gameplay mechanics, or interesting.
You're finding those things,
or a character who you helped previously, who's now dead in some form of trash that you couldn't possibly have seen coming.
Lore as well. Like, I love reading all the item descriptions and things and learning kind of how the world was a bit put together. And
well, that's to me what Pentiment is. Pentiment is I'm just exploring for.
Yes,
I'm just
but
curious.
Elden Ring's also a game. Elden Ring also has combat and lost states and...
Okay,
Dan, doesn't need to have combat to be a game.
How do you fit the Outer Wilds into this? Because that is pure exploration.
That's a puzzle game, though.
It's a puzzle game, yeah. It's a puzzle game with an answer that you can solve, and it goes, well done, here's the ending.
Yeah.
It has a fixed end. It goes, hey, the sun's exploding every 22 minutes. Why? And you work out why. And then you go, well, what can I do about it? You can do this about it. And then you go do that about it.
Fantastic little game. Yeah. The thing is, Pentiment, I'm not arguing that it's necessarily a good or compelling thing. I'm just arguing that there is a value to just exploring something like that, and that I don't get from just reading a book or playing a game. Like,
but you are
it's a game where
reading. You're... That's the thing. You are literally... the book was, I'm going to wander around a village and talk to random people, that's the same thing.
No, but I'm not just reading, because I'm making a lot of choices in how I'm interacting with that world. I'm making so many choices in the questions I'm asking and how I'm talking to people and what my person is like, you know, and it changes a lot. And exploring that world in that context is, I think, interesting. And I get a lot of value out of that. And the reason I don't get value out of something like Elden Ring is because I don't like combat. It's the thing.
Well, then just let your Spiritash do it. Just focus on gathering the stuff that makes your Spiritashes faster, and let your Spiritash fight for you. And basically, you can just turn the game. Literally, you can turn the game into Pokemon. Where every boss fight, you just basically say, "Yes, Fallen Knight, George, I choose you," and just basically you just sit back and see if George can win.
It's Pokemon, but with a frame rate. That's what I like about it.
Well, but that's my thing. Right? Whenever I play those games, like Elden Ring, I like exploring for exploring's sake. I like learning about the world.
And Elden Ring does that. Okay, Proteus is the example I brought by the way. Proteus is exploration for exploration's sake. Do you remember Proteus?
I do. That's the really like pixel graphic-y one, right?
Yeah, the weird.
Gave me a bit of a headache, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an old sort of. It's from the very experimental indie era, which I was very fond of. That is a game where exploration is all you can do. All you can do is walk around, walking simulator style.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things to find. You'll stumble across stuff, and there is kind of an ending, and you'll be able to see, you know, you could kind of work out a bit of this world. And I find things like that interesting, whereas I find something like, God, everyone's gone to the Rapture. I'd rather eat my own face than play. Because it's just very slow characters talking to each other. And I'm like, just speed the fuck up. Come on, it's not...
And you're not really interacting with them.
Yeah, no. You're not. You're not really interacting with the cast of Gone Home. Yeah, Gone Home, not Gone Home. Gone Home is... I love
walking
Gone Home.
around at a museum.
Gone Home is a gorgeous game because Gone Home, you're solving it and working out what happened.
And you're spending the entire game on the edge of your seat because if it's the first time you're playing it, you kind of think it's going to turn into something really horrific.
Yeah, people are missing, and you're like,
you're just waiting to find the tattered corpse nailed to the ceiling.
Yeah, that light bulb that bursts in the underbit will shit you up forever. It's a glorious thing.
Because that's playing with your expectation. That's playing with expectation, which is a really interesting thing.
It plays all of the horror trope games. It's nighttime, you're in a big house, there's keys to open doors, it's raining outside, thundering. It's all,
Did you ever play the Magnificent Truffle Pigs?
No.
This was literally, you were mentioning metal detecting earlier, so I kind of assumed you might have. It's literally a metal detecting game. You've got a bunch of big fields, and you wander around with a metal detector, picking up the vast majority of the time trash. And like the official thing is, like once upon a time, like a really expensive fancy earring was found in this field. There might be the other one. Check all the fields, and you spend like several hours just slowly swishing your metal detector around, occasionally like having a chat with your friend on the phone about the time, you used to do this together when you were kids, and mostly you just find trash that you can examine and try and learn some stuff, and some of it's got tiny stories attached to it, and it's about 5 hours of just walking around a field metal detecting.
Sounds lovely. Sounds like it says what it is on the tin. I'm going to look around a field, I'm going to metal detect, life's going to be good. It's like
and also Rory from Doctor Who, so the voice in your ear, which is pleasant.
Who from Doctor Who?
Rory, the guy who played Rory.
Lovely, Arthur Duvall.
Yeah, he's the big voice in your ear.
Hard Space Shipbreaker I'm playing at the moment, which is just
that's fun.
Tear down these spaceships. I love PowerWash Simulator. Recently, I've just started playing
passive sort of games.
That's just
yeah.
with have you seen its new DLC?
Yes,
PowerWash?
Tomb Raider 3's Mansion. I'm buying
Honestly,
that
I hope they
immediately.
keep doing this and just get the licenses to do famous buildings in video game history.
Oh, I mean, I always loved. I love Viscera doing the Shadow Warrior
Castle from Super Mario 64. All right, I want one of the levels from GoldenEye.
I must admit,
be
if I
dirty.
had to pick anything, it would be Lara Croft's Manor from Tomb Raider 3. Like, that's like, for me, that's the place. Like, that is like the...
I want the Normandy from Mass Effect. I want to have to go and clean up the Normandy.
No, you want the big ring, the big space station. You got to clean the whole fucking ring.
Oh my
The Citadel. I could be in Good Springs. I could, clean Doc Mitchell's house. I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, what's the
Ultra
Fallout
Lux.
3 with the bomb in the middle of it?
Oh, Megaton.
Megaton.
Clean Megaton.
Megaton would be great, 'cause it's
I'd take
enclosed.
Megaton.
Yeah.
Cleaning Megaton, just, yeah. You know, they can keep releasing that DLC forever. I hope they do.
Oh, 100%.
That is the best idea for DLC I've ever seen. Like, fuck it. Let's put famous video game locations in our power washing game so you can make them pretty. It's like, fuck yeah, that's amazing.
See, I'm down for games like that because that game is going, you're doing this thing, go. And I'm like, brilliant, I'm doing this thing. Whereas something like Pentiment's like, you're doing this thing. Actually, it's about this. And I'm like, no, I came for this
Genuinely,
thing. This is the thing I
Pentiment's
came
biggest
here.
problem. Because when I play Pentiment, people keep trying to compare it to other games, and I don't think a game really exists quite like it. I mean, the closest comparator would be those. I mean, we had a chat a while ago, Daniel, about the old sort of Sierra games.
Oh, yes, fucking space. Oh, God, those awful pieces of shit.
Yeah, and they're not like
Space
that
Quest.
because they're inherently puzzles. And those kind
Is
of
it really
old
a puzzle
style,
if you just click on something and die and then you go, oh, I guess I don't click on that anymore.
like those old style point and click games are the closest, but like nothing's quite there. People are like, oh, it's like Disco Elysium, but Disco Elysium's you're doing dice rolls.
Yeah. Play with a slide. I have, I got a fidget toy thing that I've just broken, so it's now rattling. Because I'm a child.
But like,
I'm trying to stay focused.
This is the thing, right?
No, so Disco Elysium's a really interesting one, because I tried, because it's like Rebecca's favourite game, so I really tried to play it. I didn't try to like it, but I tried to play it. And it's a game where I'm like, okay, you're just taking too fucking long to get to the point. That's because I walk out the front door and I'm like, okay, what's over there? It's a building, let's go in there. It's a bookshop, let's read everything in the bookshop. Hang on, none of this is important. And then there was like very early on, I found like a little place I could go up. I did a skill check and it opened up this door, and then I went up to this door and I explored some stuff and I found some things, and then I fucked something up and restarted because I died or something because I was pissing about. Because Rebecca's like, oh, I died up here if you do this thing. I was like, I did it, and I was like, oh, that's really funny. And then I got back to that spot. He respawned me just before I unlocked that, and I skill locked myself out of it, and I went, oh, so I'm guessing nothing in there was actually important, because that's just a whole chunk of the game that I can't get to. And then I'm like, wait, how much of this game is important? And then you look at the skill trees, which is just like 1 million skills, and you get like a point every few hours. I'm like, I don't know what this game is. I can't actually wrap my head around the game part of this. If this was less of a game, I think I'd enjoy it more.
You keep using a particular phrase when referring to exploration. You keep saying, "I'm not." You're looking for something important. You're looking for the beef of the middle attack. You're looking for something important over here. Right?
Otherwise, I just explore, as Yahtzee once said, a blank piece of paper. You can explore.
Okay,
you
need to be sat down and get a good.
You
need to get sat down with like a wise old man halfway through your journey and get told that sometimes it's the journey, not the destination, Daniel.
But this is
the thing. Here's the thing. If you spend 4 hours looking for fucking Wally on a Where's Wally, and there isn't a Wally on the Where's Wally, it's not the journey that's
You've
important.
just learned something important about futility.
I'm not so important about fucking the low quality publishing going on over at the Where's Wally factory.
But this is the thing, right? What your value as to what is important is different from what I value as important. Because one of the you didn't get on with New Vegas at all, right? Which I completely understand.
It's janky as shit. That's not an exploration issue. It's as janky.
That's what makes it good.
I agree, but the thing I always like about New Vegas it's one of the things I like about it more than Fallout 3 or 4 is like when you go to the strip and you basically spend the entire time, you don't have a gun in your hand, you've got nothing equipped, you're just kind of wandering around chatting to people. and exploring and learning about all the casinos and learning about all of these different cultures. And then you go to Mr. House and you can be like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore him. You don't even need to. You can be like, I don't care. Or you can be like, oh yeah, no, I looked into them and there was a whole thing there. And he's like, oh, cool, whatever. And it doesn't really matter what you do.
It's even funnier, by the way, if you're playing the Tale of Two Wastelands that merges Fallout 3 and New Vegas like I am. Because I literally went to New Vegas, went up to Mr. House because I just wanted some stuff out of his, just grab some loot. He was like, and I was like, I don't want to work with you. Like, oh yeah, you'll be back. Went straight to the train station, off to the other side of America. It's like, bye, fucker. I'm literally leaving your state.
But that bit in New Vegas for me was my favorite bit because none of it's important. But it's important to me because I just like looking around and just learning. And he's like, what? He's like, oh, my name's Jim. And I'm like, what's your deal, Jim? And you're like, oh.
Alright, okay, I've got a counter example. It doesn't matter. Right? A game I fucking hate. I hate A Little to the Left.
A Little to the Left?
A Little to the Left, I'll agree, it's very limited in scope.
But so Little to the Left is that organisation game. It's like, here's some pencils, organise them. Here's a book, organise them.
Oh yeah,
right?
that
and
one.
Yeah.
But you've got to organise it like they think you need to.
That's the problem. There's a right answer.
There is literally a I'm happy with my solution, let's move on button.
Yeah, but like it's just so annoying that I have to go and.
I agree. Yeah, I got annoyed with that.
Please, I want to organise the things. You're like, here's a game about organising stuff. No, this way. Do it this way. I'm like, what? No, you. I think I just want games to be... I
mean, I'll agree. It's not as good as Unpacking, which it's in some way similar to. Unpacking is much better.
Unpacking tells an entire story with all of the shit. This is like random pencils and books and organise these Post-it notes we've drawn a squiggle on. Okay, organise them all into the fucking bin. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh yeah, the ones where it's just like writing, it's just written stuff on bits of paper, I do just always skip those. Fuck, I'm happy with that solution, next.
I'll tell you what I gave up on. There was one where you have to like organise flies in a spider web.
What?
Yeah, there's like flies and you have to organise them.
You've got to make your spider webs pretty, Matt.
And I went, okay, you've ran out of ideas. I'm going to go play Unpacking for another time. Because Unpacking is not only an organisation game where you can put anything out where you want, but it's also telling you a character
within
story.
Reason.
Yeah, within like sort of the limits of the...
You know what was hilarious? I literally, in one of the things where I was doing it, I tried to put what looked like it was the Nintendo DS into the drawer in the bedside table. So like, if you wanted to grab your DS when you're in bed, just play it in bed for a little bit, you could do that. And the game was like, no, that's not a valid place for that. And I was fucking furious. And this happened on stream and I said I was angry about it. And you know what happened? The devs emailed me saying, we saw the stream, that was a valid placement, we're going to add that to the list of valid placements. So DSs can now go in the bedside table thanks to me being angry about it. Because that's where I always kept my DS. That was fucking great.
In my bedside table, literally right now, is a DS. Top drawer. That's where it goes.
That's where the DS goes. It goes next to your bed.
Everything's in there except for my Switch, which is in the dock, and the Steam Deck, which is too big for any drawer.
Yeah, handhelds go in the bedside drawer. That's the GBA, the DS, that's where they fucking go. And I was furious about this on stream that wasn't a valid placement. And they literally changed it. It's been patched.
Excellent.
The power you wield. You must use this only for good.
Well, I used it to fill up Fallout 76 with cows.
For what?
I went to that the dumb preview event.
Yes,
in
I remember.
Virginia. I actually went to West Virginia. The one which you were invited to, but just didn't bother to get back to them. You stupid twat.
I didn't want to go. Why would I want to go to West Virginia?
It was really nice. It was a really nice hotel they put us up in and everything.
Yeah, we did get back to it. I just went, no, what, no.
But during that preview bit where we were just at the start of the game, there were like very few cows in the starting town. And like one of the quests is go and find a cow to get its meat. And I couldn't find a cow. I was the one person on our team that couldn't find a cow because there were no cows. And I complained I couldn't find a cow. When the game came out, there were so many cows. Yes, my inability to locate a cow has led to additional cows. So these are my two contributions to video games. There are more cows in the first town in Fallout 76, and you can put the DS in the bedside table and Unpacking. Those are my two contributions to the industry.
My two contributions is I'm an Easter egg in Just Cause 3, and my name is in what's it called? Spaceship. About heat signature.
Oh, you know what? That's true. There's a bit of graffiti that references the channel in Atom RPG because I played that really early on. When it was
you're in Kerbal now.
Also, Kerbal randomly tweeted me with a face of me at some point, which was weird.
That's nice.
With your name.
It was,
which is in the game now.
Apparently, which is
on the dark side of the moon where no one will ever see.
Yeah, basically. No, because it was, with Heat Signature, during one of the things, I did a very silly mission where I got out of my ship, I got stuck. It's a top-down, fucking amazing, underrated game, Heat Signature, I'm just going to say that. Where you get randomly generated missions, it's top-down, and you have to get in your spaceship, board other spaceships.
I mean, Tom Francis is wonderful.
Yeah, board other spaceships, and then fucking do shit.
And then die horribly.
Die horribly. I got knocked out of a spaceship, but used my shotgun to bring me back into my own spaceship. Like, literally, like, fucking interstellar level fucking docking. And it was incredible. And it was so incredible that is now a mission. There is literally a mission where you play as me, and you start with a shotgun in outer space.
I think my favorite bit of that was, I think at one point it was, yes, I fucked up a mission, everyone was swarming me, so I just basically hopped out the ship into space, got in my ship, swung around the other side of the ship, and then basically fucked the ship up.
Yeah.
And it basically fell in two. And the thing I needed was in the ship that now had no guards in it, because all the guards were in the side of the ship that had just basically had fallen off.
Yeah.
Which was lovely.
I really enjoyed that game.
At AGX Res, before that came out and it was in development, because Tom Francis, whenever he's at an event like that, he'll sit there live coding it. And then every time you play the game, he'll notice something someone does and he'll patch it immediately. So, he'll go through, 700 patches over the course of a weekend, because every single person who plays it, he'll notice something wrong.
He's making an exciting-looking game. It's Tactical Breach Wizards. There we go.
Oh, that one.
Isometric, turn-based, Advance Wars-esque, but you are the police if the police are wizards storming rooms and having to do spells and magic and movement, and it's a bit like, what did the FTL
Magic
guys do?
Door Kickers.
Into the Breach. No, a bit more like Into the Breach.
Ah.
But
are you sure you mean Into the Breach? Because Into the Breach was not about... Into the Breach was the FTL thing.
Yeah. It's the isometric turn-based kind of advanced.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I like it, because Tom Francis games, to me, have always been so good with their movement, and for a game where you're not actually directly moving things, it feels a little odd.
Yeah, but, the movement is now... In actual, you have to think it out and plan it and knock people. You can still knock people through windows.
I hate thinking things out.
The most important thing is you can still knock people through windows, which is the key point of any Tom Francis game. Hey, has anybody played Zero Sievert?
Zero Sievert? Doesn't ring a bell.
It came out a short while ago, and I've sort of fallen in love with it.
Sievert. Ooh, that's pretty.
It is a top-down pixel stalker them up.
Pretty.
It's kind of like a roguelike where you go out and it's in a post-nuclear future past thing. And
what is it these days?
What is it these days? And you have to go out on missions, get stuff, come back. It's very sort of gritty and realistic, even though it's pixel arty, but you can just die at the drop of a hat. Whenever you come back, you're in this big base with loads of other people, and you get your own little space to customize and put your own things in there that become.
What happens if you die? Is it like a roguelike?
If you die, you just kind of go back to the start and you've lost some stuff. It's not. There's no real super punishment for death, but you can get super irradiated just because you're I want more loot.
Sorry, the top review of it on Steam is it's like Tarkov, but I'm having fun.
It's got that sort of that really realistic.
I enjoyed Tarkov. I literally tried to play Tarkov, and then I realised that to play Tarkov, you have to read a several page long guide as to how to play Tarkov, literally just how to get it started. And then a several page guide. Here's the basic information that Tarkov doesn't tell you, but if you don't know, you can have a shit time play it. You know what? This just seems like not a very good game.
Yeah, play Zero Sievert. That's what everyone's saying. That's what it's got that sort of vibe to it, where it's a lot of kind of nothing and then gunfire. Oh fuck! Oh Jesus!
Tarkov seems to be, it's incredibly hard to actually play, and then you don't know what you're doing, and then even when you do know what you're doing, it's not fun. It's I don't know why you're suggesting I want to play this. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Sounds actively bad, in fact.
Zero Sievert, not actively bad. Actively very fun. And
it does look fun.
Yeah, it's I've just been playing. It goes bad. I will say sometimes you really fuck up
Is it more of a twin-stick shooter or more of like a very precise keyboard mouse?
Keyboard mouse, very precise. Okay. If your cursor is,
it looked like it might be like because the gameplay looked like it might be twin-stick shooter, but the menus look very mousy.
Yeah, if you try and aim at the enemy, you are more accurate the closer you are to the enemy.
Is it a bit like Hotline Miami with the aiming?
Like Hotline Miami is, I can't play if you're pointing to the left, you'll shoot things to the left. In this, if you point to the left, you'll shoot to the left. But if you're pointing to the left and the cursor is over the guy, your shots are more accurate. So you've got to play a little bit of precision.
I'm always really confused by Hotline Miami's controls, because I desperately want to do analog movement, but mouse aiming in Hotline Miami, and I'm unhappy with either movement, either control
John,
system.
you gotta. I've got this fucking little left-hand keyboard thing, which unfortunately was made by Razer, which means it's got the quality of a fucking small piece of tissue paper.
You're really selling it to me right now.
But the whole thing is it's like we're sad, but the switches are analog.
So
all the key switches are analog, so you can set WASD to emulate as an Xbox joystick input.
That's interesting.
And you get analog movement with them.
Or you just play on the control. Matt, my controller's broken.
Your Xbox Elite
controller.
Yeah,
R1 button's gone.
Again?
Same as Series...
That was the one that broke last
Series
time.
Series 1 broke R1 button. A second Series 1 broke R1 button. This is the Series 2, broke R1 button. Every time.
What are you doing with the R1 button?
Playing fucking Elden Ring! That's what I'm doing with a fucking R1 button. But I'm going to keep playing it for a few more things. But I'll be using my PS4
hang on, that
controller.
implies you're using light attacks, you fucking scrub.
Of course I'm using light attacks.
Yeah, heavy or bust, you trash. Jump heavies. Nothing but... Why would you ever be doing something that's not jump heavy, you scrub?
Because I got good, John. I got good. I got too good.
So you two are fucking like jump heavy and having dinner with like a fucking 17th century peasant.
Yeah.
And they're like,
well, I'll tell you something else I've been playing, because I'm just talking about fucking video games on this one for some reason.
I know, I've managed to trick you into talking about video games. It's great.
I played the demo for SteamWorld Build. New SteamWorld game. Remember?
I never played the original SteamWorld game.
There's loads of SteamWorld games. They're all very different.
I've never played any of them, Dad.
They're all very good. You should play them. There you go. There's some new games you play. But SteamWorld Build is interesting because it's on the surface of the game. It's a little city builder where you're building robots and you have a train where you get dropped off in this big deserty place and your robots have got to have certain things. You build it up. It's a cute little city builder. It's not super big on like visuals or anything, but it's more getting a functional city working.
There's a but coming here, isn't there?
No, there's an and.
Oh.
And after a certain point in the game, you unlock the underground, which plays almost exactly the same as Dungeon Keeper, where you're digging out the cubes of dirt and you're building buildings specifically for the underground. So it becomes a game where you are controlling both the above ground and the underground, and they both have to help each other out and balance each other. So it's an interesting new twist on the Dungeon Keeper formula. I like it a lot. The demo is free and available now as part of Steam's big building game sale thing that's going on, which I bought a lot of games on.
I wonder if it's on the Switch. Oh, Daniel, you know what arrived yesterday?
Oh, what was it?
Oh, do you remember that ridiculous GameCube Switch Joy-Con controller?
Oh, God, yes.
Right.
Why?
I got a company, they sell, I think it's Nixie, they sell like, literally it's like a wireless GameCube controller, but they're also Joy-Cons, so they can slot on either side.
Okay, sure.
And it's got Hall effect sticks, which means it's the ones that are magnets, so they shouldn't do drift, and it's got like buttons at the bottom, and it has RGB, and a turbo button.
Oh God, I thought we'd left turbo buttons in the 90s where they belonged.
It's got turbo button! It's the biggest, most silly, I mean, also the thingy buttons are nice and clicky. Wasn't that what you said, Daniel?
Buttons. They go sponge, click.
Yeah, all the face buttons are spongy, and then the back buttons are really clicky.
No,
Do you want your buttons to be clicky? I don't want my controller to be making noise when I'm trying to record something.
Really? Who the fuck?
Oh, come on. Sorry, Daniel's been using a fucking MX Blue keyboard for 10 years.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my thing.
Oh, hang on, no. We need to go further back in time where Daniel was also speaking in the back. He was going...
Fuck audio is what I'm trying to say.
You've just got the
surprising
world's
that you haven't
loudest
got bigger,
computer
if I'm
pad
honest.
just blaring.
I mean, I must admit, I'm playing Yakuza Like a Dragon on my Steam Deck at the moment, and that thing is just...
Oh, that's why you
that's
bought
just
it on
loud.
Steam.
Yeah, I bought it. I watched because I was like, I want to get into Yakuza, and that one was like, it's a fucking turn-based game, and I'm like, I kind of fancy playing a turn-based game, and then I looked on Steam, and it was on like a massive sale, and I was like, oh, I'll buy that, man. Fuck it, let's have a go. And then literally, as it's downloading, Donkey puts a fucking video up about that game, and he's like, I'm like, oh, please be good. Fuck, please be good. And it is, it's a good game.
I think they're all supposed to be good.
Hey, did you see
theory,
that Donkey's publishing games now?
That
this
thing
was
was like a
some
month
time
ago.
ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, have we talked about this yet?
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it previously, but I'm not sure we had much to contribute.
Yeah, go on Donkey. That's it. That was all we kind of had to say.
I found fascinating that GoldenEye's back.
GoldenEye, wow.
GoldenEye's back, but here's the interesting thing. It's out on Xbox and Switch, but they're not even close to the same.
Well, the Switch one's just the N64 one emulated.
No.
Oh.
The Switch one is
No?
a previously unknown earlier version. And thus
Earlier
has certain
version?
audio inconsistencies
They've been
with the
fixed.
N64 version. I've not been able to verify this myself, but I've seen multiple people referring to it, that there are, like, it's a previously unknown version that is ever so slightly different to the original. But the Switch version also has the only online multiplayer functionality. The Xbox one, however, has various, more modern alternate control schemes, but doesn't have online play. So pick your poison, because both of them have got something shit.
Yeah.
I was reading that today. Hang on, let me scroll. Avengers is dead. No, apparently, it was patched immediately.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Or not actually. I think it would be fun if there was just a random unknown version of GoldenEye that just fucking showed up out of nowhere. Though admittedly, GoldenEye, I'm going to play it at some point, but I do feel like GoldenEye is just one of those games where if you've got a hankering for the N64 era shooters, you play GoldenEye for 5 minutes and then you remember why we just played Perfect Dark instead when it came out, because Perfect Dark was just better.
Yeah. A lot of these seminal games are kind of not
GoldenEye
GoldenEye
is an important part of gaming history that we should remember, and it had a huge influence on the industry and shooters at the time. However, it does not stand up today. Perfect Dark does in some ways, at least, Perfect Dark's got some interesting stuff going on in it, with the way the guns work and the dual functionalities and whatnot. GoldenEye is a very bare bones, basic, my first Fisher-Price shooter. It does not age well.
Yeah. Nothing from the N64 really aged well. Or the PS1.
No,
that's
I
an
agree with
era
that.
where
I
few
think
things.
Majora's Mask aged much better than Ocarina of Time did.
Sorry, so Switch Online came out, because I would want to emulate stuff for years, but the Switch Online N64 thing came out. I got the N64 controller, because I like to play stuff as it was made, right, with the controller it was made for.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, I'm going to finally play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, because they're two of the highest rated games ever made. And I started playing them and went, God, this has aged terribly, and I fucking hated them, and I quit. Because I fucking hate the N64. God. It's like, do you want to move forward? No, I can't. I'm so annoyed.
Do you want to rotate the camera? Use the left button
Yeah,
on the D-pad. Can I not rotate it any other ways? No, that rotates it up. What?
Yeah, and it's like,
Well,
again,
obviously,
like,
we
one
only
of the challenges
had
is
one analog stick to work with in those days.
But one of the fucking challenges is walk forward on this plank. And honest to God, it took me like 7 fucking goes to walk in a straight fucking line. And I'm just sat there watching going, why can't I release the DS versions? The remakes that you made for the DS.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
Give me those ones.
Here's the N64 games that have actually aged properly and well. All right. F-Zero X, still amazing. Play that on the Switch Online thing. That is still fucking great. All right, that one's fantastic. This one, your mileage may vary. I hold that the original Super Smash Bros. On the N64 is actually my favourite, because it was slightly slower and floatier, and it was less about, fucking edge guarding and rolling and iframes, and it was a much more tactical, mid-air, slow-paced fight.
Yeah.
And it was way less competitive and shit, but I think it was much more friendly for everybody.
Yeah. Is that it?
Probably about it, to be honest.
From that era, I would say that the old wrestling games of that era were very fun because they didn't take themselves too seriously. That's something
But F-Zero X was good. F-Zero X is still good. I've played that recently on Switch Online. It's fucking great. It's still a brilliant, silky smooth thing. It ran at 60 FPS even back on the N64. It was one of the very first 60 FPS console games ever. Well, where it mattered. Okay, technically, there were a lot of 60 FPS games back in the really old school days where it was completely irrelevant because they were side-on platformers. But the first 3D game where it actually mattered what the frame rate was, I think, was F-Zero X.
In fairness, right, because the amount of... Cause I used to do that Backlog Slogs Twitch series where I was just going through old games, and the second you get to that early 3D era, every game just has aged horribly.
Yeah. We were literally learning how to make 3D games.
Well,
not even how to make 3D games. We were literally, developers were figuring out how to work in 3D space, full stop.
It's weird how many people nailed it first try and then couldn't really...
I'm amazed Super Mario 64 is as good as it is.
Super Mario 64 is solid. It's pretty solid, but Tony Hawk's, I think, from that first game, you're like, no, this is amazing. You've actually this is incredible movement. You've nailed this first try. How the fuck? What the fuck, Neversoft? It was the first go. What dark fucking futuristic magic have you used, and then why couldn't we use it for later games? But we did for Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, but not 3 and 4 because Activision cancelled that because they can't.
Classic Activision. Or maybe it'll come back with Microsoft.
John?
Probably never.
Yes?
I got a game recommendation for you.
Oh, yeah?
Have you played World War II Rebuilder?
Oh, yeah, I played that.
You know what? I saw it, but I was worried it might be that combination of slightly clickbaity and slightly distasteful to, go around the smoking wreckage of Warsaw with a brush. We're going to make Warsaw nice and pretty.
It's not. It's quite nicely
Let's just brush up the ashes and not ask any follow-up questions.
There is a corpse in every level, actually,
historical atrocities under the rug, and now it's all lovely and clean. I don't know. I feel slightly uncomfortable with this.
No, it puts everything in context using opening cutscenes for each level. And there's kind of ghosts lingering around. And if you go near the ghost, you get sort of a flashback of things that were happening at the time when the attacks happened. So there is
okay, that sounds heavy, much heavier than I was expecting.
There is a human element to it, but it's basically you get in the first main level. Your train is the road's blocked for the train. It's there's something's happened at a station. You kind of have to piece together what happened at the station through these little notes and things that you have. But you don't just tidy the line. You do have to tidy the line. You don't have to tidy the line. You have to basically tidy the line, rebuild the line, get loads of trains out of the way by cutting them up, demolish an entire building that is completely collapsing, and rebuild it. Then on the other side of the tracks, it's there's a space there. Do you want to build something? There's a wall that's been blown out, which you then have to rebuild brick by brick. You place individual bricks during the rebuilding section.
I will say,
that might be
a lot of the
far.
bits where you're building a building is you walk up to it and you press fucking F and it builds a whole wall and you just build it. Just
but
press
sometimes
F4
it's
times, it builds four walls.
This might be too far the other way.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's one of those slightly messy, weird current building games, but it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I played. I did it on a stream yesterday as the time of recording, and it was just. Yeah, it was just a fabulous little thing.
Okay,
well, actually,
we'll give that a look-see, because yes, I just thought that looked like that might be a bit, combination of distasteful and a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, it's
on a result of on topic of rebuilding stuff and things being resurrected. Just a brief note: Eagle Moss.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Eagle Moss.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, they're back.
Yes.
Oh, sort of. Oh, the license got bought out. Oh,
yeah, we might have.
Oh, Hero Collectibles is going to do the ships going forward. Oh.
Good. There's quite a few in Strange New Worlds that I would like to see.
It's exciting. It's exciting news. It's small news, but it's exciting news.
I was really hoping that was a video game there. I'm so disappointed now. I've just Googled that.
So World War II Rebuild, I learnt something that I didn't know about London. One of the places you have to fix up is a train station called London Necropolis. Which was a train station basically exclusively built to get people, dead bodies out of the country, out of the city, because all the graveyards were full.
Yeah.
And it was called London Necropolis, and it was eventually shut down further on into the future. But it's sort of, when you're rebuilding that, I was like, oh shit, this is literally a thing. I'm learning history by repairing this bit of it. It's not. I thought
Sometimes
that was cool.
you stumble across history from that era that was truly quite horrifying, which is one bit I personally have inherited. Was there was a member of my family who basically was awarded it was a pocket watch. They were awarded a pocket watch with a small engraving in the back. It's very faded these days, and they were awarded it for services pertaining to World War One, and they were given it in 1920. Active service in 1920 because they were digging graves. They were still doing it in France in 1920. They hadn't done burying the bodies in 1920. And that's just like, for me, it was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
When I heard that story for the first time, that's my own family. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. It was a really shit time, the war.
It was, yeah.
Let's not do that again.
Sometimes there's those dumb... sometimes when you hear, oh, yeah, X 100,000 people died in one day, you can't get the scale of it. You can't envision it. But when you hear the story of one person and, how long it took them to bury corpses in one place, you kind of... Suddenly the scale of it hits you a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments for me. It's like, Jesus Christ.
What was that film we watched, Daniel?
They Shall Not Grow Old.
Oh, They Shall Not Grow Old.
A World War One documentary by Peter Jackson, where he's taken old black and white footage and he's remastered it in HD full color using
and with sound.
With sound, and he takes, because he also cleaned up all the original footage and sort of archived all the original footage, but then took this footage and did basically the entire War Museum's library, I believe, and used basically all this money. Was like, yeah, I'm just gonna make this last longer. But yeah, so it takes footage of all these blokes talking stuff that was in random FPS because of everything that was going. You had to spin it as fast as you fucking could, the film, and then all this fucking blurry black and white jaggedy footage becomes crisp HD with full sound, and they got professional lip readers in to basically work out what the people were saying, then got actors to say those things as well. So all the talking that's happening is all the laughing and talking, it's all there. It's horrifying because it brings what was essentially a you see that black and white footage, you're like, oh, it's it's the past, but you then see it as you see yourself and you go, oh, that's what I look like on film. That's that's how I know the world to be now. And I didn't think it was going to affect me as much, but I make everyone watch that film. Like, that film made me go, oh fuck.
It does add a
we
human
watched that on my
element
birthday. Yay!
Yeah, we
cheery
did.
birthday experience.
It's good. I adore that
classic.
film. It's and all that is, the documentary part is all voiceovers that have been recorded before from people who actually served and their stories and stuff, and it is truly vicious and heartbreaking and just these first-hand accounts with proper footage. I mean, it is a startling work of art, because it starts off with the original footage, and the first 5-10 minutes is just this original footage, and then on this one scene, the camera just expands pulls out, and color comes rushing in, and then there's sound, and you just go, fucking hell. Okay. That's okay. And it's all, so it's just lots of it's interesting because it brings up a bit of a conversation about sort of remastering, because that's not what that looked like. Those colours have been guessed. Those people didn't sound like that. Is this... Are we making our own version of history for our own needs? Is that a thing? But I think it does bring... It makes it more sort of applicable. Weird word. Because, you hear about the war and you're like, yeah, that was so long ago I literally cannot comprehend it. I can't know the sheer fucking level of atrocities, and London was hit. You see those London bomb maps, and there's just fucking everywhere. Just everywhere was fucking hit, and you go, yeah, all right. I can't comprehend this. How did you the years it took to clean up London? The amount of volunteers who flooded the capital just to clean up. That's who you play as in World War II Rebuilder, is a volunteer going to London to clean the capital up. And it's just, it's a history is a very far away thing, and I think when you see something, again, let's go back to Pentiment, when it looks like those old things, I understand why they're doing that, but I can't give a shit about that. It's not my brain struggles to connect with real people. It's not going to connect really well with drawings unless it's Steven Universe or anything by Alex Hirsch. Or Bob Swigert. I just... fuck, you should really watch They Shall Not Grow Old. It's fantastic. Truly is. John, I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
It's a good, interesting time.
It's harrowing. I mean, you're going to see some bodies. It's an unpleasant time. It doesn't shy away from any of that, but it is definitely worth watching. If
I like reading about my history. For some reason, I never really connect too much with historical documentary film or whatnot. I prefer to read my history. I have no idea why that is.
But that's what's interesting.
I like watching my entertainment, but reading my history.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's interesting about that film, though, just because it's something you would never normally ever even see.
Yeah.
It's that sort of weird... Because obviously, I don't really like watching documentaries in that context either, but it's not really a documentary for the most part. It's just kind of footage.
Mm.
And it's almost... It's weird watching footage from it, because it's so far away. It's like... It'd be like watching... I don't know, it just feels so... odd to see it.
I've put a link to the bit where it goes colour in the chat. In the chat. So you can watch if you skip 30 seconds in, you'll watch it go from one to the other.
I really enjoy it. On Discord, in a little chat thing, right? Because it's like anyone who's ever been on here has access to that chat, right? So and I just all that's in there is we got huge boobs, and then Daniel's just...
Well, accidentally hit enter at the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then they should look... It just looks...
Oh shit, they're real people! And real horses! Ah! No! No! Don't go that way! That way's the war, you stupid fucks! You're gonna be exploded! Oh fuck, they can't hear me.
Yeah.
Oh no. That one almost fell over a bit. Oh. I don't want to watch anymore, I'm sad now.
Maybe that's why you like reading about history, because a book adds that distance to it, adds that historical nature to it. In a book, a modern story and an old story are the same. They just look like words on a page. Whereas if you see, old footage versus new footage, you go, oh, there's a difference here. And the book kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
I mean, the bit that does give it some distance is the moustaches.
Yes.
Because there are plenty of moustaches here that you would not get away with in the modern world.
Because they are too way fucking fantastic. Like, they are...
Yeah, I think this is the single big... Now that, you'd have to, do a, DC EU and, airbrush out the moustaches to make this, truly relatable to a modern audience.
If you go to some of the hipster districts of some cities, you'll find that a lot. You go to the Baltic Triangle in Liverpool, you'll find those moustaches everywhere.
Yeah. I mean...
Load of people with ponytails.
Yeah.
Check shirts.
It's such a what a wonderful thing Peter Jackson did there. With just with his own money was like, yeah, fuck it. Just do this.
Oh, sorry. I know this is a bit late, but I was waiting for the N64 app sort of tape the whole time.
Yeah.
It's only just loaded. There's one of them. Dr. Mario 64 held up. That's
it wasn't good in the first place.
No, it's any Dr. Mario is good aside from the new
one.
No,
Dr. Mario 64 was basically just Dr. Mario. It was no different from Dr. Mario on the Super NES.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't that good. That wasn't that good either.
You wash your mouth out with soap. Dr. Mario is excellent.
It's no mean bean machine. No. I mean,
if you want a dumb little puzzle game like that, Pokemon Puzzle League was better than Dr. Mario.
Sorry.
Where the fuck you go with this, Matt?
It's just got the best theme tune of any puzzle game.
Right.
I like Dr. Mario.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck? Why is this fucking attitude come from? You're like, oh, puzzle on Dr. Mario's good. You look, fuck off. Fuck it.
They'll never fucking release it. But one game you should release, and this game has aged terribly. It had aged terribly the day it came out too. Is Body Harvest on the N64.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a great game.
Which was made by Rockstar before they were Rockstar. But you
DMA
can
design?
see. DMA Design, correct, but they were a small Scottish company. And you can see the seeds that would become 3D GTA. Because at the time they were making the 2D top-down GTAs, the 3D GTAs didn't exist.
Yeah.
But you can see what would become GTA in Body Harvest. And I think it's the
You can
biggest
drive
tragedy of the
stuff,
gaming
can't you?
industry because Body Harvest is a time-traveling romp about how you go through history and drive all these diverse vehicles from, like, you know, different points in time. So you've got massive Soviet combine harvesters and super cool, like, 1960s American cars and World War biplanes and all sorts of really cool shit from through history. And that game was a total flop, so they never made another one. But GTA was a huge hit, and so they made now 10 million of them. So now we're stuck with the biggest franchise in the gaming being a very boring game where you just drive around yet more modern cars and yet more modern helicopters. And we've missed out on the biggest franchise in the world being the one where you get to travel through time, driving all sorts of cool vehicles from history. That's a fucking
citations. You said it's the biggest franchise in history. That's Pokemon.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's a game franchise where the games have.
Wait, hang on. How are we measuring that? Because isn't GTA making the most money?
No, Pokemon is like the biggest franchise in the world in anything.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, well, that's franchise. I mean, as individual games, because Pokemon makes a lot as a franchise.
Is GTA 5 the most profitable game of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you count something like Candy Crush or one of those sort of.
Not the most expensive game ever made, though. That falls to Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Star Citizen.
Because they've spent $500 million they've spent in that game so far.
And it's coming out at some point.
On that game.
It's still in pre-alpha. Still in pre-alpha.
Yeah.
But I mentioned on Australia the other day that, like, you know, you're kind of playing it and you're like, oh, will they fix it so you're not falling out of, like, the ships when you're just walking around them? And they put out a big update and I went on, oh, maybe they fixed, you know, the, like, NPCs, like, phasing through chairs instead of sitting on them. And the biggest update, they were like, we've added realistic seaweed physics. And I went, fucking great. They're like, we've added the most realistic seaweed physics in the world. So now when you're on a coastline, the seaweed's incredibly realistic. And I'm like, it's a space game!
What if I want to go and harvest some seaweed, Matt?
You can't, it's just set dressing!
What if I want to be a seaweed trader, depending on how much money there is in seaweed? Like twats will go to fancy restaurants and pay like £5 for a bit of seaweed.
Ooh, but crispy seaweed though, which is basically just cabbage with salt on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the good shit.
That game,
taking my spaceship to the beach planet and we just harvest all the seaweed, sell like, you know, tiny bits of it for £5 and go, oh, now that is some good trading.
Because you go in, you're like, what have they spent all that fucking money on? You're like, oh my god, they spent £1 million on fucking seaweed. Like, you know, it doesn't. Oh, it's such a weird little thing. But that's the most expensive game I've made. That costs more to make than Avatar. I think it's the most expensive single entertainment item ever made.
Yeah, but
there's no movies been that expensive.
But when's Pokemon getting a performance patch? I want to play it.
Well, I don't think it ever will.
Well, I think it's getting a patch in February, but I don't know if it's a performance patch. Also,
has Arceus ever gotten
well, Arceus didn't need a performance patch.
Arceus didn't need it so much.
Arceus ran smoothly. It just looked like buttered arsehole, whereas Pokemon Scarlet looks like buttered arsehole. And also runs like shit.
It doesn't look as buttered up. You know, it doesn't look as bad as Arceus.
Well, it looks a lot worse at any sort of distance when it's like, oh, hey, we're like 2 feet away from something. That means it can now go up to 15 FPS.
The varied frame rate based on distance is somewhat off-putting.
I will say, we've had a discussion before, but the performance I've had is nowhere near as bad as... I've been playing in handheld, the performance has actually been not that terrible, but apparently it's really bad in dock.
I played it in dock mode for a stream, and I tried playing handheld, and like, you're looking at the town from a distance, and there's like dudes that have less animation than a fucking LCD, like handheld game, like movie tie-in.
Have either of you tried Hellblade on the Switch?
No.
Oh my god, I got it the other day because it was on sale. It looks like The Last of Us 1. And it runs just as well on the Switch.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's the most impressive looking Switch game I've ever played.
Well, even more so than Witcher 3.
Witcher 3 is incredible.
Yeah, because The Witcher 3 is a great port, but it obviously scales back a lot, and you can tell where they've had to cut corners to make it run, which is fine. But Hellblade looks, aside from it being a little low resolution, it looks like a PS4 game. It looks as good as the PC version. Like, it's weird. It's a weird port.
Maybe
it just runs.
You've accidentally gone mad. Isn't that the point of the game?
Well, yeah, but you know how like a lot of games are like, oh, they're streamed, like what are those rat games?
What are those rat games?
The French rat games.
Oh, le rat, Ratatouille, le movie tie-in.
No, well, like, John, help! You know the French
John,
rat games.
The French rat
John, the French rat games.
Playtale Requiem, you mean?
Yes, those two. You see, John.
I knew what you were on about. I was just
two.
taking the piss because it was an obvious thing to take the piss out of. It's how jokes work.
They're on. You just game stream them on the Switch when you buy them. And I assumed Hellblade was that, but no, it just runs really well. It just runs incredibly well.
It wouldn't run well if you had it on Game Stream because I've never got that working nicely on the Switch. That always is shit.
Oh, yeah, on the Switch. Admittedly, your internet is
dire.
Terrible.
Yeah, well,
oh my god.
You.
I can't even do when I'm over at Daniel's, I can't even do therapy properly because I'm just on Zoom with my therapist. He cuts out every fucking 5 minutes.
Yep. Have you actually played both Plague Tales, by the way, Matt?
No, I kept meaning to. And
have you played either of them?
No.
What's kind of hilarious is in the first one, the main protagonist, Amisha, they clearly directed the voice actress to kind of, there's very much, it's in English, but there's clearly a French accent going on. Like, it's very much accented. You're meant to understand this is.
French accent.
It's not that strong.
Bon
it's not dumb or comic, but you understand there's an undertone of Frenchness going on there. But in the second game, they just dropped it. They were just like, fuck it. She can just be pleasantly generically video games, sort of North American, sort of English. Fuck it. No more accents for anybody.
I'm a big fan of games allowing me to do them in the... I want to play that game in French with English subtitles. I play Sifu in Chinese with English subtitles. It's the way they should be played. I want to hear him talking French.
I play that game so much, I'm like, no, skip, fuck you, you die now.
Well, yeah, but the people and the...
All I hear is the music. I'm just there to kill. I'm in the zone. I'm like, wait, talking? I'm just hearing...
If anyone listening's been waiting on Sifu, the Switch port is reasonably good. It doesn't run amazingly well, but it runs stably. And I have been playing it on the Switch.
Stably.
Really well.
And maybe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, I'm not sure they can get her back in to do the French version. I'm not sure she actually speaks French. I think she's just a...
Well, get a French actress in there.
She's British. And this is actually... It was her first gig. Plague Tale Innocence was literally her first gig voice acting, and she led a Plague Tale Innocence and then the sequel, and she's really good. But I think she's remarkable for that's her first voice acting gig, and that's pretty much all she's done.
Good for her. Get a French lady. Get a French lady.
Just flipping rocked up. It's like, I'm just going to lead a major franchise that's going to sell really well and get a sequel. I'm going to lead that too. Fuck it. It's like me deciding to rock up and say, I'm just going to voice the protagonist in Fallout 5. Fuck it, why not?
Oh, voice protagonist. Attack him. Attack him now. Everyone hates that when the protagonist talks, so they can't pretend it's them seducing the orc or whatever the fuck.
It's true. They did roll it back in Fallout 76, so hopefully it'll stay rolled back in Fallout 5.
Does Fallout 76 still have that ludicrous you have to pay £100 a year to play it single player?
I think it does, the Fallout first thing. Yes, but that's a slight... It's a... Kind of, yes.
Okay.
What do you mean, kind of?
Well,
I don't want to play with other people online.
You can just...
Is there an offline mode?
Just run it... You can just play it anyway, and it's not like no one can attack you, and you don't...
No, I don't care. Is there an offline mode?
No.
So, fuck it, I don't care. This fucking post-apocalyptic... The whole thing in this Fallout game is I like feeling like, I'm in a post-apocalypse and I'm on my own. And just fucking Jimmy Bob 3 comes out.
You're not on your own in Fallout 3. In fact, you're not on your own in New Vegas at all. You can't fucking go 10 feet without running into someone in New Vegas.
No, but then don't bring people. You fucking Fallout 76, you walk down the road and someone's built a fucking mansion. He's like, look at me, I'm in my big clown hat. And he's like, here's 70
you walk down the road in Fallout New Vegas and someone's deciding to live forever inside their giant casino palace.
Yeah, but that's thematically right. It's not just like a dude with a Santa hat on wanking.
Yeah, I'm like, they might be nice and they might give me lots of weapons, but if anything, I think that's worse. I want it to be. When Fallout 76 came out, and it was like, it's meant to be a very lonely
So you'd be happy
experience.
if you walked out the door of Fallout 76, you ran into a mansion, and the person there was a twat who shot you.
No, I'd rather there not be a mansion in the fucking first place.
Death to others. Fuck them.
I want to play Fallout 76 as a single-player game where when you start it, there are no NPCs in the world, and you play it for a bit, and then the NPCs slowly start coming in.
I just want to play it co-op with nobody else.
Well, yeah, that also. But apparently now you've got the problem that when you start the game and you leave the vault, they're like, oh, everyone's dead, and you get out, and there's like 70 million people around, and it doesn't... All the old missions don't really narratively work.
Well, they've added in voice lines to some of the characters, which is hilarious. Because canonically, the game does have to now work under the assumption that the day everyone left the vault did happen, and the time when there were no NPCs around did happen, but now the NPCs have shown up, but they weren't there in the first place. So now, if you play the game now and you leave the vault and you go and find the Overseer, and like, hey, I'm from the vault you're in, like, that was several years ago, and the vault's supposed to have been shut this whole time. So the Overseer has, like, extra lines, just like, oh, you took your time getting here.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you do that?
I hate that.
I'm like a 10-minute walk away.
I want the world to grow around me rather than me awkwardly trying to fit myself in the shitty fucking annoying world they've made.
I just don't like games that are online only. Anyway, Marvel Snap's been going really well for me. I've hit level 70 and I've gone mad.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
I'm really getting good at that
game.
game. I want to hit level 100 today. Tomorrow?
I only ever got to fit the 50's the max I've ever gotten.
I got a 77 at the moment. I know, right? Whoa, loving it. I got
John, I'm assuming you've still not tried it.
Oh, this is the Marvel Snap game.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, the one that the game that everyone
I break out in hives if I play a game on mobile phone.
Well, like Snake.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay. I like it a lot.
You can play it on the PC. It's a Steam. It's got a Steam.
Yeah, play on Steam, bitch.
No.
It's a good card game.
Why don't you play Marvel The Avengers? Oh wait, you can't. They've shut it down.
No, if I want to play a Marvel game, I'm going to play Midnight Suns, which is fucking great.
I'm downloading that as of...
It's really good. Though apparently the new Deadpool DLC isn't actually that great. But the main campaign's fantastic. I finished it. It's brilliant. Although, admittedly, it does have a slightly dumb thing in it, which is at the end of the game, like, because there's a cast of, like, I think 12 characters or something, like, you basically get assigned 4 of them who you have to fight with one at a time in the final big, climactic showdown. And I do not know how it selected which 4. I kind of assumed it would just assign me the 4 characters I used the most or had upgraded the most, or had built the best friendship with. But then, like, the first 3 were characters I really liked. Then fucking Blade showed up. And Blade, let me tell you, Blade was left in the cupboard under the stairs every time. Fucking useless bastard. Can't do a thing. Or all his abilities is like, oh, a character needs to be bleeding before I'm useful, but I'd need to waste a turn making characters bleed. Then before I do that, I'd need to waste a turn setting my weapons to cause bleed, despite the fact I'm a fucking vampire. It's like, okay, so you've just burnt my entire turn just to do one fucking thing, useless twat. So he just got left in the corner. Then he just showed up as like the final of the 4 guys to save the world. I was like, what the fuck are you doing in here? Who let you out of the cupboard? You're not even supposed to be here, for fuck's sake. So that was a strange ending because he was completely fucking useless because he hasn't upgraded him very much. So I'd said to just go and hide in the corner and distract the enemies, and I had to basically solo the final fight of the game, which you're not supposed to be able to.
I'm pretty sure that's what the MCU have done with the actual Blade movie, though. They've gone like, yeah, that one goes over there, and we're not going to think about it. And it's all...
They're doing a new one, aren't
they? Kind of. It's sort of been a bit...
At some point, they keep pushing it back. Which is so fucking weird, because how hard is it to make a fucking Blade film?
Yeah.
You just have to have a charismatic motherfucker who's really happy about murdering vampires and who murders vampires in a badass way. That's it. It's not fucking hard.
You know how, because they've cast, I can never pronounce his name, but he's already in the MCU as a different character?
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, because he was a villain in Luke Cage season 1.
There was a Blade teaser at the end of Eternals, the worst MCU film that I hate.
That was also possibly the worst tease ever, because it had nothing to do with the film it was in. It was just one character who was barely in the film being like, oh, maybe I'm about to become a different superhero. Then another character who's not in the film at all saying, are you sure you want to be a superhero while I'm not on screen because you haven't decided what my costume's going to be yet? It's like, oh, okay. That was catastrophically bad.
It's the only MCU film I've not finished.
Oh.
We still haven't watched Thor.
Oh yeah, shit.
I did catch Love and Thunder finally. I watched it on like Disney Plus. I didn't bother going to the cinema to see it, but I caught it on Disney Plus.
I will say, next time you're here, Matt, we will watch Thor and Black Panther 2.
Yeah, I've seen Black Panther 2.
Because
it's fine.
Well,
I'm waiting for it to appear on Disney Plus. I didn't see it.
February 1st for Disney Plus.
Because we had a dog who wasn't happy being left alone.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Yeah, I
did. You just learn to dislike it. That's what I've done.
Oh, fuck it. Right. You know, you will want to watch Top Gun Maverick on your projector, Daniel.
I don't like Tom Cruise.
No, I don't either. But honest to God, you know what? You know when we used to play GTA a lot, and we used to fly around in the fucking lasers and do all these cool stunts. The fucking, oh my God, the last 20 minutes of the 30 minutes of that film are just the most excellent plane stunts I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it's got Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise sets off my, like, uncanny valley trigger. I don't know why. If I look at him, I'm like, something wrong here.
There's definitely something. Yeah. There's a lot wrong here with his personal life, but the problem is that he does generally can be relied upon to just deliver a really fucking good action flick.
Yeah, like I love the guy's work ethic. He's like, yeah, I want to drive this motorbike off this cliff. How do we do that? And he's like, well, these...
Like, Mission Impossible has no fucking business being as good as it is.
I've not seen them. You know, I've only ever seen the first one.
The more recent Mission Impossible films are so far ahead of the Bond films, it is embarrassing.
I'll tell you what I've also never seen that I'm about to start watching. I'm going to be watching all of the Fast and Furious films.
Ooh.
Because, advertising warning, me and Mike Bithell are doing a podcast on them. Also, Picard at the same time. Picard and Fast and Furious. That's the two.
The early Fast and Furious films went for practical, and the later ones went all big CG. And Mission Impossible did the exact fucking opposite. And that later on, he went, I'm going to do everything for real. Yeah. It's like, Top Gun Maverick, he does that because all the scenes where he's in the fighter jet, like, he's actually in an actual fighter jet. Like, there's a scene where he takes off from an aircraft carrier, and it's just a real shot.
Yeah.
Which, there's this undertone of it when you're watching it going, oh, the US military subsidized most of this film, and it's definitely US military propaganda.
Well, what isn't? I mean, Call of Duty's fucking everywhere, and I've not joined the army yet.
Yeah, I like the action scenes were good.
I have a question,
but
actually. Wait, in a video game, do you have to license out specific weapons?
Ooh.
Yeah. Depends if it's the actual weapon.
Presumably so, because of course, very famously in the early games of shooters, they had to come up with slight variants of gun names because they didn't want to use the real ones, like the RCP-90 back in GoldenEye and the RCP-120 in Perfect Dark. They didn't want to use the actual names of any guns, but it was clearly that, what was it, the Belgium P something? I don't know, I'm not good at guns. But, like, it was the same fucking thing, but they didn't want to, but they clearly changed the names. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing so.
Yeah, a lot of guns are patented, and they're just actual products that are sold. So if they want to put the actual gun in the thing, they have to pay for a license fee.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you want to buy a gun, don't buy a gun that looks like a major corporate gun. You want to buy a gun from, like, an indie gun producer, like an organic gun, free-range guns. Like, you know, an actual unique gun where you actually feel like, you know what? Every seventh bullet just kind of goes in a pretty fucking random direction, but it's my gun, and I know it does that, and that's going to mean if anyone ever takes it on me and points at me, I'm going to know that, and they're not.
I'm pretty sure that's the plot of High on Life. If we want to talk about other things Justin Roiland's ruined in the past.
No, you just give me a brilliant idea, which, okay, say if for some reason I did live in America and I had fucking guns and whatever, the best thing you could do would be have all the sights deliberately off. So if anyone, like, broke into your house and stole your gun, and don't tell anyone of your family, so, like, you know, if Claire ever decides she wants to shoot me or whatever, she gets out of my gun and points at me, I'm gonna, I know for a fact the sight's off, so if you're pointing it at me, I know you're gonna miss me. Brilliant.
John,
and only I know that you have to aim 1 inch to the left of the person you actually want to shoot.
I don't...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. In 2000...
that way I'm unkillable.
In 2013, I found a Verge article saying EA will no longer pay gun makers for the right to depict weapons in games. So EA basically went, fuck you 10 years ago, we're not paying you.
Oh, interesting moral compass from EA.
Apparently nowadays they don't. They're just apparently
it's like the patent expired or something on guns.
It's like
for years the gun company was just like, yeah, metal tube, the metal thing comes out of really fast. We locked down that idea. We got it trademarked. But like Winnie the Pooh, it expired.
It's like, so if you're doing a film, you don't license out every bit of furniture. That's a thing, isn't it? It's just a thing that's
I don't know. I mean, I've never made a film. Well, ask Ashens, he might know.
You wouldn't do that. But if it was like sort of, if you're showing 10 minutes of a film in your film, or you've got like an artwork on the wall, that tends to be a bit more specific, and that becomes a bit of a problem. But I think because they're sort of, you know, you can't have like fucking a window company coming after you because there's windows in the background on one of your shots in the Avengers in a city scene. Going,
well, no, I don't think they do it in that, but obviously in a video game where they're like, hey, this is and they give the name of the gun, like, here's a really detailed model of the gun, versus in a film where it's just like the shape of the gun. it is a different level of vagueness there. I mean, the video games obviously a lot more
film,
specific.
just like, does a prop master just make a gun that's like a unique thing that looks a bit funny? Because obviously they do that in sci-fi films, but do they do that in normal films too?
No, I'm pretty sure that in a lot of films they have... some of them will be faked and stuff, but sometimes they use real guns that have been modified to no longer fire.
Well, Alec Baldwin.
That's the thing I'm thinking
Right
of,
up to the point where they do.
Well, no, Alec Baldwin's been charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, that's a whole fucking different... Why was there live ammunition on a fucking film set? Lot of failures. I was
not sure who even carried the bullets in. Like, surely if you're going to use real gun, you bring the gun, but like no bullet ever goes anywhere near that set.
Yeah, it's You'd
never have loaded it in. Why was there even a bullet there? Why would you ever have a bullet?
I don't think Alec Baldwin's going to be charged.
He was one of the producers as well. That's what he's getting charged with.
Yeah, and there's a safety thing, but he's involved, but I don't think he obviously I think he's got a legal defense there that he'll be able to wiggle out of.
I mean, so I've shot a lot.
He's criminal.
I've shot a lot of guns in video games. I've never bought a gun. I've seen a lot of Marvel films. I've bought a lot of figures of Marvel characters. I don't know what's happening with this idea in my head right now. What I feel like it's if you it looks like nowadays people kind of just go, nah, fuck you. Your gun's a thing in the wild. You know, you get the AK-47 on the news and all that sort of shit. You know, they're all sort of... this has apparently come up again recently. It's because GoldenEye was one of the first console games to feature 3D firearms. There we go. Let's all come back together.
And they changed all the names. So yeah, Bond's gun is the PP7, not the PPK, for example.
Yes. But in the late stage of development, Ken Lobb, the game's producer, called Hollis to say they could not use genuine brand names. There you go.
And Ken Lobb, of course, has the worst game in video game history named after him as a result. The Clob.
Which game?
In GoldenEye.
Clob.
In GoldenEye, Ken Lobb had the gun, the Clob, named after him, and it is the worst gun in all of video game history. It's truly spectacular. It has a tiny clip of 20 bullets, and you can empty all of them into a guard, and they will not die, because it's the weakest gun in the game. It's amazing.
Oh, great. Oh, fuck. I'm playing Marvel Snap in the background.
Oh, my God.
Someone wonged an Onslaught Citadel and is now gambiting.
Oh, you're fucked, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fucked. You are fucked.
Oh, yeah, I've destroyed all my cards.
I mean, if you were really going to, I remember in PS2 era, the NRA made games.
Wait, I mean, that completely makes sense because the American guns in general are just...
Yeah, the NRA used to make video games.
I got a text yesterday. A friend of mine's in America at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
The friend or America?
Well, both. But he sent me a picture. He sent me a picture, right, which is a sign from a place he stopped at, right? And it's Hussey's General Store. And it's got 3 things listed below it. Guns, wedding gowns, and cold
South, is it?
No, Maine. It's the North.
Oh. And sometimes you need all 3 of them in one day.
Yeah, it's American, mate.
That reminds me of a Hitman level that I was quite fond of back in the day. Who doesn't love a shotgun wedding? Hey, there it is. All right, okay, let's.
I just remember there was just after this whole dumb thing with the guns on the set. There were various people who were saying, "Well, hang on, why on earth are they firing guns at all in films? Why are they not just adding in muzzle flash and smoke or whatever?" Through CGI later, and the response a lot of people gave was, well, obviously, you know, it wouldn't be realistic if you didn't have some proper recall and whatnot. I was like, I don't know. I feel like if there's one class of people in society I think should be capable of acting like something that didn't actually happen just happened, like while being filmed, it is actors.
But I'm going to disagree with you.
I just kind of feel like they're the people who should be able to
I'm going to disagree with you because things that actors pick up only have 2 weights. They have, this weighs literally nothing, and this is the heaviest thing, and I'm going to have to spread my legs apart and hold it below my groin and be like, oh, it's really heavy. And nothing weighs in between.
Or if you're Spider-Man, above my head.
Well, Spider-Man's allowed. He's got super strength, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, if someone, you know, they've got like they're bringing a TV in, and there's just a guy like carrying this cardboard box, like, yeah, where do you want it? And you're just like,
There's
Really?
there's been a movement, especially in the past 10 years as well, especially ever since John Wick, towards. I mean, for a while, CG became a big thing, but now everyone's trying to move back to more practical effects.
Good, better.
It is, but obviously that's why something like that would have happened on the set. That's why they'd be using blanks.
Yeah.
When they could, but because the way the camera reacts to the actual flash from a gun and the way that the area reacts and stuff is you can't. It's hard to do that even with a muzzle flash. A muzzle flash won't replicate that properly.
Yeah.
So there's a reason people do, but there's supposed to be such ludicrous safety with that.
Yeah.
Because a blank, even a gun without a bullet in it, even if it is firing blanks, it can still kill someone.
Oh, the bullet catch, the old Victorian magic trick, was loads of people got killed because they'd bring somebody up on stage and the person would put something in the gun as a joke. They put just a little something they had on them in the gun and be like, oh, I'm going to shoot him with a pea, and then the guy would die because they put something in a gun and shot it at someone.
Yeah, but this is the thing, even with a blank, just the gunpowder being fired at the end of it can kill you if it's close.
Yeah, guns
are dangerous.
Yeah. Guns are in fact bad. They could cause some real harm. We should look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing all right with it.
Yeah.
I think most of the world's accepted that.
I mean, what are they called? Fuck! John Wick's a good one because I was watching a thing they use solid plug weapons. So
solid plug weapons?
Yes, so basically it's a gun that...
I'm just imagining a gun with a cork stuck at the end.
Basically,
later.
It's a gun that... you get the slide goes whoa and the fucking bullet goes whoa, and the shell at least goes whoa, but there's no sort of there's no barrel basically. There's just it bang and then it's there's no way of actually getting shot in any way, even if real ammo was put in it. There's
that sounds like a good sort of a gun.
Yeah, for a lot of scenes that would work.
Yeah.
That would work more, especially if you're doing a driving. If you're in a dark room with one character trying to shoot something, obviously you might want an actual muzzle flash, a real one, to give the light or something like that. But
wait, how does it not kill people though? What's actually been done to it? I don't understand.
It doesn't have nothing. There's no end. Nothing can come out of there's no barrel. You joked about having a cork in the end, but it is literally there's no barrel. It's not firing anything.
It's a barrel completely blocked from emitting any type of projectile. So if you just basically,
do you think we could maybe do this in real life?
What? Just
if we just bribed all the gun manufacturers with $1 billion, all the guns they produce have just got them, and then we just don't tell people, we might be able to abolish guns in America without the gun owners realizing it.
Yeah, it would be awkward in some muggings, I think.
I don't think that'll work, John.
Well, you know what? Okay, no. But who exactly is going to, having tried to do a mugging and failed to murder someone, having tried to murder them, be like, go on Twitter, and be like, I tried to mug someone today and I couldn't even shoot them. What the fuck? At gun manufacturer. I don't think you're going to do that. And on top of that,
sure anyone who buys the gun.
Now I will give you. There are going to be problems on gun ranges. So we're going to have to pay people to be standing nearby with some coconuts or whatever to make the right noise.
Just use squibs. No, just use squibs. Have somebody that is
squibs, coke, whatever it is that make I don't know how you make gun noises, but we need someone to make some gun noises so people think that they've got a gun that works, but actually they don't.
Yeah.
And I think that this is how we solve the gun problem in America.
What happens though, John, when someone's I'm going to take apart my gun to clean it, and they notice it's blocked?
I mean, we say that's okay. Then we replace their gun with a different one that's also blocked.
They're not going to shoot you.
Exactly, they're cleaning it in their house.
You see, the thing is, I hear a lot we can't fix X, Y, or Z in America because the gun lobby is bribing politicians. I say, well, okay. Two could play at that game. What if the politicians just started bribing the gun manufacturers to put out these fake guns? What if we just had the money start flowing the other way?
Yeah, but okay, what happens to these 700 million guns already in America?
Santa.
Okay, what?
Santa. One Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Just goes around and just pulls a little bit of molten metal in and fills up the barrels of every gun in all the households while everyone's asleep. Santa can do it.
Yeah. We just set up, like,
Santa is the reason there are school shootings.
Chad's big gun store, and we say, look, Chad's opening day special is, if you bring in your piddly little pistol, I'll give you a free fully automatic assault rifle. And they don't know it's one of the new fake assault rifles. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get myself a proper new assault rifle, woo! And then that basically, they'll just hand in their real guns and get given, like, toy guns in return, but they won't know it.
Well,
I've fixed it. I've solved America.
What is your solution for someone, a hunter?
Well, maybe we need more bears in the world. Maybe it's time the bears got to, like, maybe it's time to level the playing field.
If they shoot a deer, the deer doesn't die, how are you going to...
That's a problem. Someone's going to go out in the woods and be like, I'm going to shoot a bear. They're going to try and shoot the bear. The gun's going to do, like, fucking nothing. And then the bear's going to eat them, so they're not going to be alive to complain the gun didn't work.
Okay.
Self-correcting problem.
Okay, no, fine, all right,
yeah. See, I've thought of everything.
Yeah, that logic works. There's absolutely no holes in that.
Yeah. This is flawless. Like, there might be some holdouts, like, at the end, but, like...
You mean literal holdouts, or just...
But, like, by the time... We'll get 99% of them. The other 1%, we could just deal with later, it's fine.
Okay.
By that stage, my fake gun store, Chad's gigantic guns, right? We'll have all the real guns, so we can just go and take the last few. Boom, gun solved.
Okay, there you go, AOC. There's your solution. Instead of all these fucking, like, anti-gun bills.
Yeah.
It's the John bill.
Fake bigger guns. Basically, just hand over really awesome-looking Nerf guns to people.
Oh, I've got an awesome-looking Nerf gun under my desk. Oh my goodness, proper rifle.
Exactly. And would you rather have that, or would you rather have some little tiny piddly pistol?
I got a piddly pistol as well.
Bullets. I just think we could do a gun exchange for massive, awesome, like, really nice-looking, badass Nerf guns for real guns. And if we just don't tell people, it would work.
Honestly, what you do, right? Here's how you get rid of all the guns in America. And I mean this genuinely, right? It is a genuine solution. When the PlayStation 6 comes out and there's none of them, the US government buys all of the stock that it can get a hold of and trades guns for PlayStation 6s. And then it becomes one of the only ways to get PS6. Done.
Isn't that just going to create an explosion of gun sales that's going to be good for the gun industry? Because people just swap them for thing and then buy a gun.
They also get rid of all of the gun sailors. And then they go, you have to give all the guns in.
See, that feels like a significantly bigger thing to get done than the PS6 thing.
And you know what? I think America...
I feel like my solution's better.
I think America just can't do it. I think they're just not cool enough. That's right, America. I don't think you're cool or patriotic enough to get rid of all the guns. Getting rid of all the guns would be the really patriotic thing to do. That's what I say. Man, America... How cool and patriotic do you think America would be if they got rid of all their guns? Something they can't do.
Significantly cooler or more patriotic. I think right now they're basically letting the terrorists win.
I think that's what they're doing.
I think the terrorists wouldn't win if they got rid of all their guns, but the terrorists will win if they keep all their guns.
And the kids definitely would be safe. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. From all the terrorists, that's what they would do. No guns, no terrorists to have guns. Wow. And then I'd be like, wow, America, you're so cool and patriotic. I'd salute the flag and do that weird creepy thing where they sing a song to it every day. Sing its theme tune to it. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, God, I listened to a podcast with George Takei.
Who?
The other day.
Yeah, George Takei.
George Takei.
I thought you were talking about one of us.
Is that how you pronounce that? Oh shit, I've been saying that wrong for decades.
I don't think it matters. You're probably not going to meet him. I met him! I met George Takei! Hey!
He was doing a podcast with James O'Brien. It was just him talking about his experience in American concentration camps, and now no one talks about it.
Fun.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they talk all that. When he was 5, his family got taken to one of those Japanese concentration camps, and they took all their money away from them. And then, like 6 years later, they just kicked them all onto the street and gave them $20 and told them to get on with it.
Wow, what a great end point for the PodCats.
Well, yeah, you talk about patriotism. I think that's look, they made them salute the flag.
I'd bring us back to game news, but I kind of burnt through it all earlier. All I've got to say is Deliver Us Mars is coming out. That's it.
Well, we do have some good releases coming up soon.
Yeah.
We've got, John?
No, I've already burnt through them all. That was all the notes I had. Deliver Us Mars is coming out. Well, by the time the public patrons, they'll still be in the future. For the people, it'll be in the past. Just please remember that Deliver Us the Moon shipped without a fucking ending. So check Deliver Us Mars actually has an ending before you buy it. I'm still angry. Deliver Us the Moon shipped without a fucking ending. It didn't in any way warn you about that when you bought it.
What did you mean it didn't ship without an ending?
It, like, literally, like, you're exploring the space on the moon, alright, and there's like, oh yeah, there's these 3 complexes, and the first complex, you find the key to get to the second complex, and oh, there's this mystery, what happened to Abigail, she's gone missing, wonder if she's going to be at the 3rd complex, and you get on the train to the 3rd complex, and then you watch the train zoop away, and then it cuts the credits.
Wow.
And the credits roll, and it takes you back to the start screen. And then that's it. And literally, there's nothing in the game indicating what the fuck just happened. I had to go online and check go into like the Steam discussions, and like all the topics just like, where's the fucking ending? And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna add an ending in as a bit of free DLC at some point. We just don't know when. It's like, and you didn't think you ought to mention that on the store page before I made my purchasing decision, you fucking twats.
I looked up the upcoming releases, and there's 2 big ones coming out.
I know them!
That I care.
Can I say some?
What?
I know things.
Okay,
I know.
Yes, talk about gaming.
Kerbal Space Program 2 is next month.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And also,
one of them.
PlayStation VR 2.
That wasn't the one. The other
Atomic
one.
Hearts.
That's exciting.
No, also.
What? Atomic Hearts?
I think that's...
Atomic Hearts looks fucking incredible. What are you chatting about?
Well, the one I was going to say is Wild West Dynasty, which is the next game with the people that are Medieval Dynasty, but it's in the Wild West.
Okay, that sounds very fun.
You know, no, fuck that shit. Wipe February from your mind. In March, we're getting Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and probably Starfield.
No.
Okay.
No, we're not. We're not getting Starfield.
Yeah, we are.
We're not getting Starfield in
We're
March.
getting Starfield in March.
How long have you been making for this? How long have you been in the games industry for? I'll tell you when we're getting
Starfield in March, Daniel.
We're not getting it in March. Fuck it.
They can't take it away from me again.
Okay, it's not coming out in March.
It's coming out in March.
I'd say June, July. The absolute supreme.
If it goes in summer, they will not release in June, July. They'll wait till August, which is always a bigger month for releases. They'd wait till August.
I think they're going to try,
but they're not going to because it's going to come out in March.
It's definitely 100% not coming out in March.
It's coming out in March.
It's not. They do a 3-month
Stop saying that. It's coming out in March.
Hasn't started yet. So whatever, I think sort of March they could do.
Look, they announced Fallout 4 and then released that just like a few months later.
Yeah, 3 months because they do a 3 months advertising thing. That's kind of what they've always done.
It's going to come out in March.
It's not, John. John, it's not.
It's going to come out in March.
It's not. I honestly...
Krusty is coming. Krusty is coming. Krusty is coming.
June to September's my guess. That's where I would...
Getting Starfield in March.
And I definitely think it's in the latter half of that.
Eat your words. By the time this episode goes out to the public, it'll have had a March release date. I'm going to prediction now. It's gonna be Friday, March 31st.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say.
That's what's gonna happen.
If it doesn't come out in March, you are not allowed to do a video on it until I have. That's what I win if you're wrong.
I'm not making that fun. What?
Well, then you're not very confident it's coming out March, then are you?
That's like 5 different people talking then somehow. That was amazing.
Why would I accept this condition? Obviously, I'm not fucking accepting that.
Yeah,
I'm not that confident.
You think it's going to come out in March.
I think it is going to come out in March.
Okay.
End March.
It's gonna. Is it? It's gonna come out in. Oh yeah.
It's gonna come out in March. Fuck you.
And I won't have a 50 fucking week wait for my vasectomy. There you go. I'll get it in March. That's what we're gonna have.
There's 2 other releases.
What? Oh.
Okay, one of the 3 PS5 exclusives is coming out on PC. Returnal.
Yeah, skip, next.
Oh, that's the one I didn't want. I want Demon Souls.
Fucking The Last of Us 1 is also coming out on PC.
Fuck.
I thought it already was, isn't it?
No, Last of Us 2 is only on PC.
Oh, the TV show's good, though. I really enjoyed the review. The TV show, because it stuck so close to the actual fucking thing, is apparently really good. So well done. You actually finally made a good TV show of a...
Resident Evil 4 remake in March?
Don't already mention
that one.
Yeah, you already said that one.
I'm not convinced it's going to be good. I'm worried that they released one gameplay clip and it's from really early on in the game. It's right at the village at the start and it was edited really choppily. Like they were trying to cut out a lot of stuff.
I mean, that's probably because that's the only bit of that game that people remember. It's village, dude jumps out of the fridge. I think I shot a big fish in the water at one point. Question mark, hand cannon. What are you buying?
I mean, I just don't know whether you want to take one of the best games ever made and like aggressively remake it in a different style. Like, I do not know whether you want to do that. Like Resident Evil 2, fine, that's an old game. You can make something that's in the modern style of that, fine, whatever. The original Resident Evil 4, aged like fine wine, still a great game. You can play it right now. It's great.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
that's
it.
the problem with it.
I do not know if you want to remaster a game like that.
It's very accessible. It's very playable.
Yeah. And also, you know, it's very light-hearted and silly and dumb and actiony, and clearly they're going for a much darker, horror-y tone with the remake, so I guess it's good that they're gonna make them very distinct, separate things. It's not like, hey, we're replacing Resident Evil 4 with this new improved Resident Evil 4. It's like, okay, this is just a different take on the same material. It's just, I don't know if it's ever a good idea to go setting yourselves up to literally be compared to one of the best games ever made.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not a good idea.
It's right up there with Hitman Blood Money, with New Vegas,
with Elden Ring. It's not a good idea
to
to do that. I mean, it's not a good idea to do that. Not that it's not one of the best games ever made.
Oh, thank God.
It is one of the best games ever made. It's not a good idea to do that. And my example I was going to throw out there was, it's like, imagine if you had to remaster San Andreas.
Yeah.
Or Vice City. Which, both of those, incidentally, the remasters are now out on Steam. Remasters is such a fucking... It's re-awfulings. They're both out on Steam, but brilliantly they don't work on the fucking Steam Deck.
Amazing.
Well done. The only... that'd be nice to be portable. No. Uh-oh.
They still don't run at 30 on the Switch. I tried them the other day, they still don't.
Fucking
Amazing.
PS2.
Good job.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was so impressed with fucking that Hellblade game. Because it runs better than San Andreas!
But they have to render all the misspellings in Ultra HD.
Oh no, they fixed the misspellings. That's the one thing they fixed.
I'll tell you what, modders who modify the emulated version of Pokemon Scarlet and whatever have discovered that the files for the textures were all really, really, really high quality and can go up to almost like 4K level of detail, which made some people suspect that maybe it was originally designed to be like a thing that went with like the Switch Pro, which never came out. But it also means that they're being rendered at that resolution at all distances, because there's no sort of fading to lower ones. That's the only texture that exists for those. So it's basically rendering the whole island in 4K forever.
Great optimization.
I mean, it doesn't look like a 4K texture, I'm going to be straight up honest.
Well, it's because it's only got a 720p screen, isn't
Yeah,
it?
720p screen that's not displaying 720p in an effort to get the fucking game to run. It's good. It's good.
Oh dear.
Maybe they'll patch it.
Maybe they'll get a performance patch.
Maybe they'll patch it. Maybe I'll emulate it.
I'd put money on them not patching it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll save that for, like, I think they would have to do something before the big DLC that adds 10 million national Dex Pokemon into it. And when they add all the Pokemon that we all want to have in the game, I could go to Execute Island and catch an Execute.
There's a patch in about a month. And we don't know if that's a performance patch or what, but fucking hell I hope it is, because I do actually really want to play a game that I've bought with actual money. You know? That would be nice. But anyway,
it's a good game. I enjoy it.
I've got to get going now. I've got to wrap this one up. It's me that has to leave this time because I've got to go take heart medicine because I'm fucking Goku for some reason.
Okay, so assuming none of us have died of natural causes before next month, we'll see you there, I suppose.
Where we'll be talking extensively about Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh God, do we have
to? No. I'll tell you what we will be talking extensively about. MILF Island, which John refused to watch before this one.
Look, I can't fucking find it. But I've seen a clip. I've seen the first challenge of MILF Island.
Look, we'll talk about that next time. I genuinely have to go.
No, I need to tell you what the first challenge is, just to whet your appetite.
Next time, MILF Island.
The MILFs have to feel their own son's chest for no reason.